Good evening. A pleasure to see you. I'm glad that you're here with us tonight. We've got episode 4 of With Good Intentions coming your way. And Nathaniel has been telling me, wow, we're already on episode 4. How does that even happen? I'm like, well, first episode 3 occurred, and then, previous to that, it was episode 2.
Of course.
Wait, we've had 3 before this?
I think for Nathaniel, as our longtime GM, he's used to having to keep it all up here in his head, and he's just enjoying the novelty of somebody else having that pain. So I'm going to try and get it out, and that's what's going to happen tonight, and I'm glad that you're here joining us for that. We're going to start off with a recap, and Christian was kind enough to volunteer for that purpose last week. I believe that means that Richard is going to be next week, finishing off with Nathaniel.
Yes.
I believe
so. Just as a reminder, tonight's episode is called The Blood Oath, correct?
Yes. It is indeed.
Cool. Oh, that's nothing sinister.
Yeah.
I also have to say, I love your super calm demeanor, Chris, because it absolutely betrays the hell we're going to be in for the remainder of these 3 sessions.
Fine.
Well, why wouldn't I be calm? I'm not in any threat.
If you start laughing, that's when we're like, oh shit, guys. When did we do the stupid?
We've always done the stupid is the problem. Chris has just been hurting us like cats.
I can't think of any scenario where when Chris starts laughing, you shouldn't be worried.
In Kale's state, he is the stupid. So
I thought he was the shadows.
I'm the freaking stupid, man.
Oh, that means you can blend in with the stupid too.
I literally am the stupids, man.
That is actually an asset in this particular city. Maybe in most. Are you ready, Christian?
I'm so ready.
All right, we're going to do something a little bit different for this one. Christian asked me if he could pre-record it, and he said, I want to know a little bit more about this character who I want to sort of bounce this off of. And I said, I don't think I can give you that context dump, so why don't we try and do this as a conversation instead? So whenever you're ready.
Let's do it. What?
Hey.
Hello, voice?
Looks like you got knocked on your ass. Searing pain.
Yeah, I know that. I could take it, though.
No, you can't. Too weak.
Oh. I'm sorry for lying, then.
Your friend isn't okay either. That isn't bloody.
Cyrus got hit, too?
Taken out like a punk. What happened? So embarrassing.
Well, when we left that bar, we were gonna go see Doc. But the crowd outside of Steak Sauce...
You couldn't enter? Try harder next time.
No. Those scary cops were actually bringing people out.
Did you squeeze past them? Like a worm?
No. Cyrus and Task and me went with them to the hospital. They said we were sick because of Task. But I felt fine, honestly.
What about your 2 new friends? They didn't even try to save you.
They got left behind. They got away.
They almost didn't. Yeah, they got caught.
They made it then?
One of them jumped into the building, and the Dragonborn godling. Cursed dusty lizard.
But I thought Themrir seemed really cool and nice.
Well, what about the other one? The druid who lost his mojo. He's so sad now.
Zaniel? Is he okay?
Sure. Why do you care? So deeply.
Well, he felt so sad because all his stuff was gone. I guess I could probably relate.
Do you even understand what they went to do? Pay attention.
They went to tell Doc what we found out about the killer, right? I didn't get to talk to Doc as much as Cyrus or that.
Doc is all right. The sad boy chatted with her about the hospital. So much talking.
So, did Themrir and Zaniel make it out of steak sauce? Did they get caught?
They're fine. For now.
And Task, we got split up, but he was really cool. I hope he's okay and that those cops didn't do anything to him.
Don't worry about him. He's scary, but you can't see why.
Just want everyone to be okay.
You have a gentle soul, Kale. So kind.
I'm actually the Prince of Darkness, probably.
No. The darkness in you is very small still. It grows.
Okay. I don't know what that means, though. Can you send me home now?
We don't want to go home, Kale. It's all gone.
I'm pretty sure I do.
No, Kale. We want revenge. We will break them.
Revenge? For what?
For killing me. Again.
Look, I'm really sorry for you, but I've kind of got my own thing going on right now.
You picked up my book, read my words, invited me into your head. It's nice here.
Whoa. Who? What? Who are you?
I am the shadows.
Nice.
See, he got the laugh out of the way immediately, so that means we're fine.
No. It was still in recap mode. It's good.
Now,
great.
was the laugh
That's really well
the end of the recap, or was it the beginning of the session?
Where's
We're-
when does one element end and the other begin?
The answer is yes.
Oh no. Oh, great. That was really good. That was really cool.
Also,
That was
it
really
took
good,
me.
Christian. Thanks for throwing that my way.
Yeah, no, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Also, took me a bit of time, but I realized who the book belonged to. So
Very nice.
I was
not
wondering
right
when-
now. Like I already knew about it, but I was like, yeah.
I was wondering when you guys would catch in.
Mhm.
Bum bum bum.
All right.
Great job, Chris. Thank you.
Well, and same to you, Christian. Thank you again for inviting me to be a part of it. That was a great recap, and I think we hit most of the salient points, but there might be a few other things that people want to bring up. Does anybody want to throw something else into the mix?
Zaniel's really fast.
It's the first I've heard of it.
This is the first I've heard of it.
Task
Really?
put his hands through one of the hops and found out actually that they're purely mechanical.
Yeah, the robots.
Yeah.
Well, that guy especially. He's a lot of robots. So
Actually,
Ooh, nice.
correct me if I'm wrong. This might be something that my brain just like incepted into itself.
most likely.
Didn't his face mask get removed and his face was sewn on like the dead people?
Just so, that's right.
Oh,
There
I
was
don't
a
remember that
seam.
bit.
There was a
Oh.
seam that Task noticed between the robot and its face.
Yes.
Thomas, I blocked that out. Why did you remind me?
Yeah.
I
Would
guess
that-
maybe that's why I tried to block it out and it didn't work. That's why I thought it was incepted
shit.
and not real.
This is not a leading question. Would that be considered a cyborg? We'll see.
Have to find out. At least
No,
part of
no,
it
no,
was
no.
alive.
It's an android. Because they're probably sexy. Like 18.
Okay.
Was
What about 16?
Wouldn't the term probably be gynoid? Anyways, given that recap, Is there anyone who wants to ask any questions about anything that happened last session before we get started?
I'm good to go.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I think we kind of left off where you were kind of filling in the time that Themrir and Zaniel had to travel with the crazy antics of murder and deaths of the other three.
Right, so I'm just going to quickly remind everybody of where each of the groups are. So we have Task alone in the hospital. Cyrus and Kale and he were all subjected to some sort of intense blast of psychic disruption, some sort of distorted imagery that was sent through their ocular nerves and knocked poor Kale and Cyrus for a loop. But Task is just made that much different and that much tougher, and he manages to withstand the mental blast. But by the time he is finished dealing with the various robots that are plaguing his path, Cyrus and Kale have disappeared somewhere into the twisty corridors of the hospital itself. Meanwhile, Zaniel and Themrir, who managed to avoid being gathered up by the Knights Errant in the first place, are quickly, I was going to say slowly but surely, but in fact quickly, making their way across the city towards where they know the Free Hospital is located. So we're actually going to pick up with Zaniel and Themrir.
Before you jump into it, are there cars in... Like, we saw the big mover thingy, but do other people use cars in the refugee area, or have we not seen any at all? Like, everybody just walks everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask kind of the same thing.
You've seen vehicles, but they've all been in various states of disrepair.
Okay.
It looks very much like at some point in the past, it's not entirely clear when, they just took a chunk of the city and said, and now it's a refugee camp. They walled the whole place off, and they left whatever was in it to rot. So there's lots of buildings in various states of disrepair, right? There are buildings that were obviously malls and high rises and apartments and, even some civic infrastructure and architecture that have just been cart off from the rest of the city and have been sitting here without maintenance for, looks like maybe a decade or more.
Okay, so just to make sure any traversal is under our own power then.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
It's either basically airdropped in and out, or it's walking.
Can I airdrop you my documents about how fast I
don't think we're close enough.
Damn.
That's fair. Speaking of airdropping, what air vehicles have we been seeing? Since we're making a path, kind of up and over.
Well, you are.
Maybe some
I'm just going
buildings
straight, buddy.
You can do that. I can't. I'm trying to consider what aerospace vehicles might be.
No.
I'm
we
assuming
talked
some
about this
police
last
stuff.
week.
Drones?
Well, we talked about this last week, Richard, is that I figured, you're good enough at your leap thing that you could use the height that you would normally, go to, go distant, closer to the ground,
do
10
the long
feet
jump
off.
instead.
Yeah.
Oh, I am an inch above the ground, and I'm going, woo, just forward, yeah.
Regardless of how that actually plays out, and we can talk about it in a moment, I will answer the question about what it is you're seeing in the sky. Since you've been here, you mostly notice that there's a lot of activity on the edges of the space, near what you presume to be, whenever you can't see it directly, the wall around this area. There's always spotlights playing even during the middle of the day. The brightness of the lights are enough to still be seen from some distance. And they're always being issued from something or many somethings, really, that are going in long lines back and forth in unpredictable patterns across the surface of the wall. Occasionally you can see one sort of swoop down and then return to its path. You imagine that might be either it saw something or somebody just got knocked off or taken prisoner or whatever it is that happens to people who try and scale the wall. Other than that, though, the landing of the Knights Errant with the great big personnel carrier outside the building is the first time that you've seen anything that looks like it has a person inside of it. Otherwise, it's been very quiet. Now, mind you, the two of you have been only here for about a weekish, and you've both been staying mostly inside, so it's possible that there has been other air traffic, but that's what you've observed so far.
I do like being inside.
Yeah. Just not a lot from my experience, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been. Okay. And it's out, and it's like decent tech stuff then that like is beyond Themrir's understanding. Okay. Okay.
Only we were magically inclined to break all their tech stuff.
It's almost like we have abilities that'll allow us to do that or something.
It's weird. Anywho.
Speaking of the city and the traversal thereof, the blocks that you go through relatively quickly, very quickly compared to someone who would need to just walk or run it on foot with only normal human capacities, looks much like the areas that you've left. Again, it strikes you as just a big chunk of the city that at some point somebody said, and this is now a refugee camp. There's a lot of sign of disregard for the infrastructure that runs these places. And you know that, for instance, this running water is rare and hard to come by. It's mostly trucked in along with the food supplies for the knights errant. Finding somewhere with electricity depends upon the few maintained or semi-maintained residential buildings. Occasionally you see another one that appears to be occupied by some number of people. And that's where it starts getting interesting as you cross the area towards the hospital. You can see that there are other residential buildings that still have, their fill of refugees occupying it. And you can see that there appears to be another one of the massive knight-errant carriers just landing now at one that you are nearby or passing on the way there. Unclear exactly what they're doing or where they're going, but, as you are passing it, presumably, I'll let you tell me how you go about doing it if you want to, or if you want to stop. But you can see that they're doing something similar in heading into the building, and the people start streaming out. Most of them in every direction, some of them in an ordered file, in between guards, sending them into the carrier. Interesting thing here, of course, is that you don't believe that there was anything but cell block 7 in terms of caring for the sick. So who they've selected and why they've selected them would be potentially different criteria here.
So they're going into the carrier like in 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I stop to slow down, or I start to slow down.
I got what you meant.
Yeah, words are hard today.
I'm still kind of behind you, considering I can only move so fast.
So while I'm waiting for Themrir to catch up, I'm wondering 2 things. One, do we know how much further we may need to traverse? And then 2, I would like to see if I can try and eavesdrop on like a conversation of some sort.
All right. 1, I will let you know that you have a fairly good idea that you're near it because the wall has been growing ever closer. Okay. And you know that the free hospital is up against the wall in this direction. So it probably isn't too far now. Maybe another 5 or 10 minutes of this clip.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we've made a lot of distance. Okay.
5-10 minutes is still a lot of time when you're worrying about trying to rescue friends.
Yeah, we got task. He'll finish it and we'll get there and be like, oh, wow, good job done. Here's some cake.
Do we have task? And do we know that we have task?
Well, we do have a task, whether it's the task. Yeah. It's fine.
Picking up a side mission, I understand.
And in terms of trying to eavesdrop on what they're saying, I'm going to have you roll speed for me.
Speed. Ooh. Okay.
Difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3.
He's got to collect all of the feathers and dead drops.
Hey, I've played Assassin's Creed. I know how to do it. Oh, that's specifically for writing. Okay.
Checking to see if you have any skills to ease things.
Yeah. Okay, that could work. Yeah, I have this thing called the cipher, but it's specifically for text, or like code or language and stuff like that, not for verbal.
All right. So before you roll, then why don't you describe to me what it is, how it is you're trying to eavesdrop? Are you trying to get very close? Are you trying to take advantage of the environment in some way? Are you trying to read lips? What are you going? How are you going about it?
Interesting. Okay. So obviously I want to kind of stay in the shadows, as Kale has taught me. No. Just to try and avoid detection. Obviously, it seems like they're a little preoccupied with getting people loaded up, and that's kind of their primary focus. I kind of want to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. I wanna get, if there's bystanders, I wanna see if I can like eavesdrop on them and see if I can get a couple questions out of them, or if there's none, I want to see if I can get close to some bad boy coppers without being noticed, and then just kind of listen in on what I can hear.
All right. I will say that there's not really bystanders yet because they've only just gotten started, and they're basically either ordering people into the carrier or ordering them to disperse. And people are taking that order very seriously since it's being given by people with guns. And they're streaming out into various directions. But you can get close enough, I think, to the stream of people who are heading in to at least overhear maybe some of what they're saying and overhear if they're being given specific orders. But you'll need to try and do so in a way that, like you said, doesn't reveal yourself to them. So let's have that roll whenever you're ready.
Okay. And then I'm just going to use a bit of effort here to reduce that.
All right.
How do we game again? Right, I just rolled it.
It's been a week. We all need a test roll.
Right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. That. So you said difficulty was 3?
Got it.
Okay. Put an effort into it. Yosh.
Success.
That'll do her. All right. You managed to, with a combination of quick movement and keeping to, not only the shadows, but into the significant audio disturbance caused by, all these people, murmuring and chattering and moving and shuffling their feet, and soldiers, the knights and the police officers, moving and threatening and pushing and pointing and talking and ordering, right? All of that is more than enough to mask the movements of one person, especially someone who's trying to be stealthy. You find yourself a nice position on the lee side of the massive personnel carrier. Although there seems to be places where there could be some sort of observation module set up on its outside, they clearly have no concern about there being anything to watch for, and nothing seems to be looking in your direction at the moment anyways. What you can overhear is a number of people basically balking at the orders given them until they are being forcibly pushed in or told or being threatened that their bodies could either get into the personnel carrier or they can be left here, one way or the other. But they're certainly not going back into the building. Many of them are asking why me. They're even pointing at people who are on the same floor or in the same room as them and saying, why is he not going in? And the answer in many cases seems to be, just more threats or just more pushing or just more ordering. But it's when the officers seem inclined to part with an explanation, they suggest that there's been release of some sort of virus or bacteria, and they need a sample size of individuals in order to ensure that it's not getting into the larger population. There's little objection to that the people can make. Mostly that leads them to a certain fearful silence as they look at themselves and they look at their neighbors askance, wondering, have I been infected? What kind of infection is it? There's a lot of fearful chatter amongst each of the people and lots of questions asked of the officers when they do share that information, but their questions are answered with more threats and more haste to load them up.
Okay.
I'm going to have you roll intellect for me with a difficulty 3 as well.
Okay.
And this is to catch a little detail. So if you have anything that has to do with, solving puzzles or noticing small details, that might apply.
Okay. So I do have an inability for this because of my descriptor.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am trained in basically solving puzzles.
Okay. Well, that sounds like those cancel each other out then.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like that's a really good thing to have in a Chris campaign.
Yes. Now, So the way I worded how I'm trained, it was just kind of like for flavor. But I'm wondering if I were to keep what I find to myself with not telling anybody, if I could get a benefit from it. I know I'm kind of stretching it here, so I'm okay with a no.
So run that by me again. You want to know whether or not...
So basically, like I basically am dealing with mental fatigue from just having to constantly try and figure my way out of things. But I also am trained in figuring how to get my way out of things. And instead of like when Themrir comes up, if he's like, so what'd you find out? What if I were to keep that bit of information to myself rather than sharing it to possibly benefit him?
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, like the way
I will allow that, but if you do that, then you cannot share it.
Okay. That's a tough one. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll just roll.
Okay.
I'll just put a bit of effort into it. Difficulty 3. Watch this backfire really badly. About to find out.
Let's find out. No problem. It's a good thing you put that little bit of effort in, though. All right. So the thing that you notice is something that you weren't around to observe the first time, but that back at cell block 7, but that, of course, Task, Cyrus, and Kale have seen. And that's that occasionally some of the officers will, when turning to each other or being far enough away from the rest of the group to believe that they might not be observed or heard, sort of converse in a burst of noise. There's just be a sudden, like, it sounds almost like static or like a sudden high-pitched squealing that modulates itself up and down very quickly before they nod or look away like they've just had or finished a conversation.
Fascinating. Can you replicate that, Foley?
And then they'll head back into the group and do whatever else. And sometimes you'll see 2 or 3 of them again peel off, have that sudden, quick squealing exchange, and then again spiral out into the larger group. I think by now that you've spent a little bit of time spying on things and getting this information, Themrir has probably managed to catch up to you.
Okay, yeah. So after I kind of finish all that, I kind of back off and kind of wait for him to catch up.
Okay.
Have you discovered anything? You waiting is wasting time.
Yes. Well, similar to the other block, they're doing it here too, and they're speaking some sort of language that I don't quite understand. It's too fast to comprehend. But I don't think we're too far. So we have two options. Either we can continue at the pace we're going, see if we can find a back way in, or try and sneak onto this thing.
Themrir takes a long look down at the helicarrier that is loading people onto.
If we get on that, it would be faster, but we would be processed the same as everyone else. Meaning,
Unless
we would likely get caught. But there's always the chance of getting caught anyway.
You know, Themrir, I kind of forgot your long pauses. But, guess that's ancient history.
apologize.
We could try and sneak on and find a way to hide away somewhere. Either that, or you can take that route and I can take my own route.
Themrir makes a noise that sounds like what you would expect a carcass to sound like if it was laughing. The air is tight and squeaky and awful, and you can hear the scales and bones click against each other a little bit as he laughs terribly.
You think I would not be able to be found out immediately if I went there myself? They may dissect me on the spot.
Or you could, I don't know, play dead.
Then they would have no reason to keep me on their vessel.
It could be after you ate one of the guards and then you drop dead, and then they have to study you.
I'm sorry, did you say
I don't know. I've seen some
eaten in thousands of years.
And I've seen some crazy stuff. So, I don't know. It's up to you.
I believe if we continue this way, it may be safer to just leave them behind. Besides, if they are requiring aid in the future, they're likely going exactly where we're going anyway.
You think you can get us on top of the carrier?
On top.
Themrir takes another long look down.
You have portals. Why not try as soon as they begin to take off?
Because the longer I go between rests using them, the more debilitated I become.
Then the question for you is this necessary or worth the cost? Because I'll remind you already, I've been tearing myself apart inside to learn what dead people have to say.
Well, no one forced you to do that.
It was necessary and worth the effort.
And if there's some other way we can go about doing this without me wasting basically my life force.
The slow way, which we can continue taking. Less
Or-
risk.
If you can get us on top of that carrier.
I have no ability to transport multiple people at once. I can jump, sure, but it is only for myself.
What if I just grabbed onto, like, the back of your cloak and you jumped anyways?
I see that this is the plan that you are sticking with.
No, I'm just asking questions.
My options are not many.
And Themrir like stretches and like gets ready a little bit.
When I say go, you grab, and we go. Don't drop me, druid.
You have a fondness for calling me that.
You haven't stopped being one.
It's debatable.
All right, so sounds like the plan is Themrir is going to try and give Zaniel a piggyback ride to the top of this carrier.
I have ways
to get up
there, but hey, if this works.
So this is going to be a little bit more difficult for poor Themrir than it might have been otherwise.
Yep.
Hey, he could have just said no.
Well, I was like,
Yeah,
this is the
blame
plan you're going
Themrir.
with. Okay. I see.
All right, so I'm going to ask you, where are you starting from when you make this jump? There are buildings around here, but obviously there's a fair amount of clear space immediately around the vehicle
Oh yeah, they might
for
see
it to
us.
land.
Yeah, G. Which is why I was like, hey, teleport, baby.
I just thought of that. Shit. Okay, well, it's planned. How high up is the top of the carrier?
It's got
That
to
makes a
be
difference.
like-
It makes a
it's gotta be
difference.
like
I can
90,
only
90 feet.
Oh,
I can do that.
that's like right on the edge. Right on the edge. Okay.
10 feet of clearance. 10 feet of clearance.
Now, okay. A question for you. When he jumped, if in the same instant I triggered my phase sprint, where I'm partially phased, would that ease it for him to lift me along with him to the top of the carrier?
I was about to ask the same thing.
Okay, it does make you insubstantial-ish.
So do I weigh a pound of steel or a pound of feathers?
I think what we'll do in that case is if you do that, I will eliminate the additional difficulty that I was going to impose on him
Okay.
for having to carry you.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
All right, so again, where are you starting from?
Probably if I
Wherever
can...
you were eavesdropping, I met you on.
Okay, so he was basically curled up beside the carrier itself, right, just on the opposite side from the loading dock.
Yeah, perhaps if we could use like the silhouette of the carrier, like it looks like we blend in with everything.
It's a big hunk of metal, and neither of you are, but you can try and land in such a way and jump in such a way that you stay very close to it the whole time.
Yeah.
I am skilled in disguise and stealth.
And I'm partially phased, so this
Or
doesn't
sorry,
phase me.
trained, not skilled, because skilled is different.
Specialized is different.
Okay.
Yeah, trained is the first, and then specialized is the second.
Okay. So Themrir, difficulty for this jump is 5, and your training reduces it to 4.
Okay.
And let me see.
Would have been 6 with the piggyback being too heavier than it is.
Okay. Do I have is there okay, the jump is just a straight up action. Okay, so yeah. The one action would be my phase sprint. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do anything else. Okay.
All right. Then we're
We'll try it.
up to you. How would you like to expend this? Is it going to be might?
Well, I have Far Step,
Okay.
which allows me to jump a distance away and land safely, as long as I have a clear and unobstructed path to that location. So I have the ability to do that.
Okay. So you're going to try and use Far Step then? So both of you are basically using Far Step in Congress.
In our own
Effectively, yeah.
special way, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to reduce the difficulty then. It's no longer about can you land there, but can you land there without being noticed doing so? And can you land there in time with its taking off such that it doesn't end up above you by the time you're trying to land
What
on
I
it?
was thinking, yeah.
Little do we know, there's a whole battalion of RoboCops up on top of the carrier because they anticipate this happening.
So I'm going to reduce the difficulty to 4 then,
Okay.
and then minus your trained turns it into a 3.
Okay. And if I expended an effort, it would go down to 2? Mm-hmm. How do I get effort back? Just as a reminder?
You have to use your recovery.
Yeah.
So I believe you've already used your 1 action recovery, so you need to use your 10 minutes one next, or use an ability that allowed you to use it like an action.
But once we get up there, we would probably have some time.
Yeah,
we don't have 10 minutes, but
yeah, we don't have a lot of time. You know what? I want to give it a go. I'm doing a 3. That was wow. What happened? I rolled a 2. I didn't roll a 1.
Ouch.
You did not roll a 1, so you will not have a GM in
No XP though. Well,
right.
let's get it on
Can
better.
I spend an experience to re-roll? Is that a thing
Yes,
I
you
can
can.
do?
It is. Yep. And you must accept the better of the 2 rolls,
Well,
but you
I
can
don't think
spend
I'm
1
gonna get.
XP
I
I
to do
don't-
that.
don't
I
think
don't
I'm
know.
gonna get.
I might
those.
want to. You might want to keep the 2.
Nah, spend the XP and reroll.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what that should look like.
Burn that XP, and there it is. It's a little bit of a stutter step. At first, you don't quite lift off, and you realize that Themrir hasn't made himself insubstantial yet, and you're like, oh, stumble, and then you push off with the other leg, and you both make it this time. You soar into the air, and you do it in such a way that your feet are almost trailing against the metal of the carrier. At one point, sparks go up from bone on metal. But you land on top of the carrier with just a muted thump. Now, mind you, under most circumstances, they probably still would have heard it inside. It's a great big cavernous space in there, as you know, and that sort of sound would echo. But you managed to time it such that the carrier is taking off, and there's that little thump and that rush of air that spirals around it as it does so, muting the sound of your landing. It also blows the air right out of you, though, because it takes off so quickly. It's not something that either of you would have been familiar with. It's more like suddenly being transported to the astral plane or being yanked from your reality than it is like taking off on the back of a wyvern.
Oh,
for
this
instance.
that's fun shit again. Cool.
Well, then we know
missed
what that
this.
feels like,
It's been a
yeah.
whole week that I haven't done this, Chris.
That's right. You do know what that feels like. It's this bottom of your stomach dropping right out. It's your blood rushing to your knees and your feet and your head swimming with it as a result. Themrir, this doesn't bother you nearly as much as it might have under different circumstances. Zaniel, it's still pretty unpleasant. But it equalizes quickly, and the smoothness of the ride is noticeable. Once it actually gets up to speed and seems to be moving through the air, it hovers pretty smoothly. The air rushing past it is a bit of an obstacle, but Themrir, you can sort of hunker down and dig in, and Zaniel, you're able to hold on well enough. I won't force either of you to roll for that.
Oh, okay, I was about to ask, is there somewhere I can like anchor my staff into like a vent
No,
hole or something?
there's enough like greebles on this thing that we're fine.
It's not a smooth Apple kind of spaceship.
Oh, so it's not Black Talon tech, okay.
Whatever it is and whoever it's made by, it looks a lot more like a very utilitarian sort of vehicle. There are some loose welds, there are vents, there are ports, there are holes that look like they're meant for places that you could attach equipment to under different circumstances. It looks sort of like a multi-purpose kind of vehicle under most circumstances that maybe fulfills many different roles depending on what is needed at the time. And that leaves more than enough places for you to sink a hand or to place a foot.
Sweet.
The other thing that is surprising, and good or bad, depending on your perspective on it, is that the ride is very fast. The 5 or 10 minutes away from the wall that you thought you were turns into more like 10 or 20 seconds.
Sweet.
It moves very quickly.
Wait, it's fast? Wow.
This is the first we've heard of it.
By the time it's starting to settle down, it's maybe taking you 30 seconds to cross that same distance you thought was going to take you 10 minutes. The most surprising thing about the whole ride, though, is probably when some source of, looks like a beam of light pierces through the carrier underneath of you, and the whole thing explodes. We'll come back to that in a moment.
You didn't tell us this. You didn't say they could explode.
I'm fine. You're dead.
I don't know. I think I turn to jerky and then I die.
You guys have been spending all your time inside. You don't know about the exploding carriers?
Oh, it's like if somebody...
Is it a Tuesday?
Is the top just like a big giant like array of switches that any single step you explode the whole ship? Like
there's
it's a Tuesday.
A great big explosion in the middle, right? Just being waiting to be let out.
You guys were fine until you made that last fast joke, and Chris is like, "Okay, never mind."
That's it.
I gotta torture these guys now.
I'm done with them. Speaking of which,
and I stop.
Let's move to you next task. And we'll reposition where the players are looking. Where's the hospital? There we are. A twitching, bleeding corpse lies at your feet. But calling it a corpse might be stretching the definition of the word. There's fine filigreed wires, a lot of, looks like, copper and silver. There's circuitry. It looks similar, if not exactly like the sort of silicon chips that you're familiar with from your own world. There is blood and other unidentified fluids, some sort of oil, perhaps, that's leaking down your hands and out of the body. And a very human-looking face attached to something that clearly isn't human. In most circumstances, you'd say that the seam was not very obvious. And it looks to you, with what knowledge you have in understanding human physiology and health in general, plunging into those data banks with which you were installed so long ago, that it was healing. This seam. There's a red and almost infected looking line that runs just behind its ears and down below its jawline and probably disappears into the thick head of hair on its scalp. But it looks as though, given another week, maybe, that line would have disappeared and it would have seemed all one piece. The sudden quick communications between the guards makes a certain kind of sense now. And so does their ability to stand up to you and their lack of fear. But the existence of these creatures at all does not seem to add up. No time to really worry about it, though, because whatever it is they are and whyever they are, they've taken off with Cyrus and Kale, somewhere down this twisting series of hallways. As you proceed along them, you can see that each hallway is almost a mirror of the one that you're in now. Light panels on the sides, light panels above you, hallways branching off in many different directions. The reflection of the lights in the hard and glossy floors. The metal that adorns the walls and creates the paneling, reflecting the light back as well, until the whole place is, if not exactly antiseptic looking, then certainly harsh enough to be unpleasant. There's no obvious trails and no obvious signage.
GM, is there any evidence that I'm being pursued in any way?
Let's have an intellect roll from you, task difficulty 2. No problem for you. You managed to put a few details together. There's no audible signs of pursuit. And the guard that was behind you, who almost certainly was a similar creature, disappeared around a corner as soon as you had dispatched of his fellow. But occasionally, you'll see the lights repeat that same sort of pattern you saw when you first broke into this area of the hospital. A sudden flicker of reds pulsing very quickly and then turning back to blue.
I take a few more steps and I stop and I pull out the oracle box.
It vibrates gently in your palm.
Before I ask my question of the box, GM, can you tell me how many paths it looks like I have before me in terms of branches?
Immediately in front of you, there would be 3, going back, going forward, going to one side. But along this hallway are many, many branching paths. Basically, each hallway goes to another hallway, which has many rooms. It looks like this place is meant to handle a very serious number of individuals.
I continue trying to walk at a brisk pace forward so that I feel like I'm continuing to make progress. I'm holding the box rather tightly, not with any intention to hurt it or break it, just sort of putting the stress into that hand like you would with a stress ball or something. Oracle box. Do you know where they've taken my friends? Cyrus and Kale.
I got 2 words for you. Okay.
That's the thing, I can only ask it yes or no. I stare straight ahead. If I continue down this path, Oracle Box, will I find them?
Does a bear poop in the woods?
I think so. Task nuts. Oh, I understand. I put the box away and I now go from brisk walk to athletic run down the hallway. I am making no attempt to be silent or stealthy. I am moving with every speed I can muster. I am trained in running if you require a roll at some point.
No roll needed for running down the hallway. The hallway does not attempt to stop you.
Very good.
The hallway is in fact perfectly okay with you running down it. However, you find that when you reach the end of the hallway, it turns onto another hallway which looks much like the hallway you were on before. In fact, it looks nearly identical.
When you say turns, then the hallway terminates at a wall and sharp branches to one side?
It does. It looks like you're coming out of one of the outlets from the hallway, but it leads on to very much a similar hallway.
Okay, I continue to run down that one. I pull the box back out. Oracle
Okay.
box. These lights, these red and blue lights, are they a communication signal of some sort?
No can do, my dude.
Then are the lights a forward warning system of my presence?
That would be a nope.
Then are they scanners or medical apparati?
You've made it to the end of the hallway, come to another hallway, run to the end of that one, turned onto another hallway.
No, you silly little man.
Oracle box, you said they were down this hallway. Where are... That's it. It's not a yes or no question. Are they still in this direction? Am I still going the right way?
If I said no, I would be lying, so I won't say that.
Task grows more and more flustered with the box, and every time he puts it back in his pocket, he puts it away more and more aggressively. So, I have no idea if you can feel pain. I will not
It's
waste my
hip to
strength
be
on you.
square, but what about cubes?
I have no idea. Task punches the wall immediately in front of him, and when he's satisfied that it bends or dips in, he continues running down the hallway until something about the geography.
There's an interesting
changes.
thing, actually.
Oh,
I would like to have first a might roll from you, difficulty
okay.
3, and then I will have an intellect roll from you, difficulty 4.
okay. I am specialized in breaking inanimate objects. Does that apply here?
It does.
Okay, so that makes it difficulty 1 then, because it's 2 levels, right? Okay.
Yep. Just don't roll a 1 or a 2.
Okay. Roll a
No
3.
problem. No problem.
Ooh.
You only need exactly that number.
Pretty sure
All right.
that exact same interaction happened last week too. Where
One
you
die
said,
in a
just
dream,
don't roll
baby."
a 1 or a 2, and then he rolled a 3.
Yeah,
Well, he took my advice.
I followed orders.
The panel is much tougher than you think it ought to be. Is there something strange about its composition? There's no reason to put military-grade materials into a hospital like this. But then again, what you see and perceive is something very tough, yielding only reluctantly to your great strength. And now let's have that intellect roll.
And you said difficulty 4, yes?
I did.
Okay, this is going to be tough for Task.
Do you have anything that might apply?
No.
Task
All
has
right,
made
then.
new friends. Does that give him a discount on anything?
It's true. Do I beat them with the power of friendship?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Chris has remained silent, so no.
Can he utilize the Bob box as an improvised weapon to also teach it a lesson and learn the value of his friendship?
I might be willing to consider something to do with the Bob box, but not that.
Smash it on the
Bob
ground,
box.
Nathaniel. He just told you.
Okay. Boy. If I use effort, that's like my whole
You do have recovery. I don't think you've spent any yet.
No.
So if you need
yeah,
to spend from your pools, you can.
let's do it. Nah, still a failure.
Oh, no. Because you rolled a
Nice
2.
roll.
You do have some XP, though, if you want to try again.
I will burn an
To redo that roll.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to rule that if you do that, you don't have to spend the pool points that you spent, right? You get to
Okay.
use those again for your new
Right,
roll.
gotcha.
Because inevitably you're going to spend them.
Oh,
Oh no. Having a terrible
Now it's
time.
a burn. It wasn't a burn before. Now
Well,
it's a burn.
you just spent one less effort.
I did. I chose to do that because I don't want to use 7.
Oh, okay.
I don't have 7 to use. So, okay. Sorry, that's a failure then.
That is a failure.
Yeah.
The panel, as I said, yields only reluctantly to your great strength, and it confuses you. You're not sure what's going on here, and it doesn't make any sense at all. You just can't line up what it is that's happening. Why would it be so tough? But on the other hand, it was satisfying to let loose some of your frustration for a moment. And now that you've managed to break a piece of the wall and you start running on. Unfortunately, the frustration probably mounts very quickly again because at the end of this hallway too is another similar hallway. And each time you run into a new hallway, that same flashing pattern of lights doing something, signaling something ahead of you. It seems determined to yield little in the way of fruit.
All these hallways are looking the same.
You feel like you've been here for a while, like you've got to have already fruitlessly wasted minutes running down hallway after hallway. And still no sign of your friends. And in fact, no sign of anyone.
Have I encountered any doors or panels or view windows as I've run down these hallways?
No view windows, but panels, yes. Almost all light panels, but there's occasionally little door panels or panels that look like they're intended for dispensing water or an ice.
Right.
And others that look like they have something to do with electronics in the room. The lights above and presumably other things as well. And then there are doors that come off the hallway as well. None of them are marked. Like I said, there is no signage, but each of them is sort of a heavy-duty metal door with a red rim waiting for presumably the right inputs to open it. There doesn't seem to be any buttons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then I do 2 things in this order. The first time I come to a panel, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's electronic in some way, I stop and try to analyze it the best I can. I'll let
Okay.
you decide what that panel is, but the next panel that looks significant to me, I'll stop at.
All right. This panel has a large number of wires running off from it and a thick bundle of cable that heads up into the ceiling. So if there's going to be a significant panel, this is probably it. The panel itself is basically just a square metal box. There's some visible securing mechanisms on it to hold it closed and to make it difficult to open. And there's a little red symbol on it. Looks like some sort of triangle in the corner. Just some sort of sticker. And otherwise, it gives no indication as to its purpose.
I pull the box back out. Oracle, is this bundle of cables, this panel, is this significant? Is this important to the facility?
No way, Jose.
Would destroying the contents of this panel alert guards or security forces to my presence?
That's a 10-4, good buddy.
Task nods. Good. And I proceed to tear the cables from the wall.
There's another flashing pattern of lights above you. It looks very much like the pattern of lights that you'd seen before. And as the metal box crumples under your incredible strength and is ripped clean from the wall, there is a moment of almost discontinuity. And you have the broken, shattered pieces of the metal box on the ground at your feet. And when you look up, you see the metal box with its large bundle of cables running up from the wall and into the ceiling. And then there's another moment of almost confusion and darkness as the lights flash a pattern above you, and there's no more shattered pieces at your feet.
Oracle box. These lights, these are cleaners? They're for removing things?
No, you silly little man.
Don't understand. And as I stare at the box in frustration, I look down the hall either side, hoping that someone's heard me rip at the wall.
If they
Like
have,
anything?
there's nobody who's bothered to come do anything about it.
Very well. I proceed to the closest door and walk through it.
Walk through it as in just push yourself through the material?
Yes.
Okay. Then, let's see here.
As if there was no door in the door frame.
That's right.
The door in the door frame yields to the immovable and unstoppable force that is task striding forward. Inside is a fairly sparse room. It's much like you might have expected. It's got an examination table. It's got a sort of a bed that can be moved and motorized, repositioned around. There are light panels against the wall. There is a cabinet for storing various medical supplies. It doesn't look like there's anything in the cabinets, but you can see the cabinets themselves. There are various display screens that seem to be inactive at the moment, but presumably would be displaying these vital statistics of anybody on the biobed. The floor is an unrelieved metal pattern, and the whole room is, again, Spartan and much as you might have thought to see in this kind of hospital.
I should have known better than to think they were in a random room. What would father do? He wouldn't punch doors. Task, for the first time, like, in his entire memory, unfurls his brow again and actually, like, breathes in. He pulls the box out and, like, calmly puts it onto the table. Oracle box. Do you have the ability or functionality to interface with this hospital at all? Desire schematics or a
Winner,
map?
winner, chicken dinner.
Good. This is excellent. What? I have to ask yes or no. Can you interface with the... Is there any way that you could get me a visual of the hospital's layout?
You bet your sweet bippy.
Then do it.
That would be a nope.
Could you do it, please?
That would be a nope.
The oracle box swivels its one major eye in your direction and then sort of vibrates gently against where you set it on the table.
Okay, I pick it up. Okay.
As soon as you touch it and pick it up, you feel sort of an unpleasant bite sensation, as though something had suddenly sunk in to your fingers and your hand. And you see a little bit of red pool around your hand and then suddenly disappear, as though it were being sucked up into something.
Oh, he pierced my skin. Huh. Task is definitely not used to having his skin broken. He's actually a little bit upset. Oh. Not like angry upset, just like perturbed.
Question you should be asking is, do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
And having taken that little sample of yourself into him and responding to your previous inquiries, the room around you changes shape. There is a sort of wavering of your own vision, as though a mirage had been seen previously. There's less bed and more mechanical. There's different shapes to the room. The room is deeper and longer and wider than it had seemed to you at first. And you realize that you had no expectation of seeing a room like this, unlike the one you were just in, which is the one that you had expected to see, the one that you had almost mentally visualized when you thought hospital and looked around you. At the back of this room, you can see what looks like incomplete skeletons, except you can see the machination, the fine wiring. It looks like the same sort of thing that you just fought and killed out in the hallway, but not wearing any flesh yet. No face. Its perfectly smooth head has a variety of little ports, and you can see tiny moving pieces sliding around on the face, as though in mimicry of muscular structures. The whole thing sort of flexes and contracts in a parody of breathing, but it does nothing else, as though it were sleeping on its feet. A much less well-assembled one hangs from a gantry in the corner. You can see that even as you watch it, certain pieces of it are sort of collating together, the various joints becoming more defined. It's very slowly being assembled, it would seem, by the devices overhead as they swivel back and forth with a unmistakable whine of machine and gear and hydraulics. It's difficult to believe that you could have missed it, but you didn't hear anything like that. You didn't expect to.
Has this been here all the time? In plain sight, but I couldn't see it. I understand. Then the patients here, they're lab rats. But who built the maze? Who's placing the cheese?
Excellent questions. We'll come back to them shortly. Cyrus, Kale. It isn't ever pleasant to wake up after having been knocked out. It's not like falling asleep. Right? There's nothing restorative about that kind of unconsciousness. Instead, when you wake, it's with great reluctance. It's like pulling yourself away from a bed of glue, like pulling your consciousness towards the surface of an ice cold lake. It's a struggle. And almost a struggle that you don't want to make because it hurts. The blessed darkness hides the pain, but as you emerge layer after layer, meter after meter from the lake to the surface, struggling for that first breath, it brings with it the pulsing, pounding pain in the back of your head. The pain's reluctant to leave. It is an unwelcome guest that lingers, and it makes your vision blurry. Not that there's much to see. It's dark where you are, wherever that is, and cold as well. There's sounds around you, though. You can hear moaning, deep breathing, sounds of other people unconscious maybe, snuffling in the dark. Nothing coherent. When you try and flex reflexively, you find that Your body doesn't seem to want to respond properly. Whatever it is that has brought you back to consciousness has not given you back full control of your body. You can feel the cold at various joints around your wrists and elbows, around your neck, around your knees and your ankles, around your waist, various points up your torso, around your forehead. Something cold holding you in place. But even if those weren't there, you're not sure that you could move. Except your eyes, a little. You can blink again. The pain doesn't go away when you do. Squeezing your eyes shut and opening them, either way, feels just as unpleasant. The graininess in your eyes, you wish you could scratch at them, rub at them, to clear them. The pain right to the roots of your hair seems to travel down your neck and into your spine. You can't wiggle your fingers, but you do feel like maybe you could move your lips, your tongue, your teeth. Yes, you can talk, which seems to be more than any of the poor souls around you can do.
Son of a bitch. Kale. You there, Kale?
Cyrus. Oh my god.
Can't move.
Yeah, I know. No, I can't move.
Goddamn.
Is it just us, or are we?
I don't know. It's too dark to see anything. I don't think we're the only ones in here, though.
Hello? No, the voice is gone. Cyrus. Where's Task?
Task, are you here? Either he's still under or he's not here.
I wish Zaniel was here and Themrir.
All right. Come on, Kale. You're the darkness, right? See if you can't pull it back a little. Get us some light.
I don't think I could do that. I don't know if I could do that.
There's a thunking sound in the distance, sort of a deep reverberating grind, and you hear sort of a ka-chunk sound, like something slamming into place. And then something starts turning. You can hear metal grinding on metal, slow at first, but speeding up a little bit as it seems to find position and slip gear into gear. And with a sudden jerk, you can feel your body starts moving sideways, pulled along with whatever it is you're attached to. The moaning around you intensifies a little bit, but nobody else seems able to say anything. Even if they're awake, if they're conscious, they don't seem to have the same sort of motor control that you do. Maybe your physiology is just a little bit different, or maybe you're just that much tougher. Not that it's doing you that much good, you still can't move. Except sideways, wherever it is, whatever it is you're attached to is going. Feel sort of bump and then another bump as your body is slowly but surely pulled sideways along with this constraint.
And we for sure can't move. Is there any type of roll we could do to see if we could overcome this problem?
Let's find out. What would you suggest?
That would be dependent. Is this this lack of movement, is it from, I know you mentioned that we can feel restraints, but is our inability to move, is it from restraints or is it a willpower thing?
It's both physiological and physical.
Okay.
I have an ability
Okay.
that I think I can use at this
Tell me
moment.
about it.
I can telekinetically push. And everything's black, you said, right? I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus, I think I'm gonna push you over.
All right, I'm gonna try and be as loud as possible for you. I'm over here. I'm on this side.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Push. Telling me to push a creature or object immediate distance in any direction you wish. All right. So, what direction are you trying to push, Cyrus?
I'm unsure if what we're on is a conveyor belt of some sort or something. We're moving sideways somehow, bit by bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to push him off of, if this were a moving platform, somehow off of it.
Okay. So, to the side, basically, and off of.
Yeah, whatever direction is perpendicular to
Right. Against the direction that you're currently going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you stuck or tied to the thing? Because you must not be affixed to anything as well.
They don't know.
I guess
doesn't
that's
know.
true.
Can't
He also
move my
says you
body
must
to
be able to
find it.
see the target too.
This must be your size or smaller. Tell you
Mind's
what,
eye?
I'll still let you use it, but I'm going to have you do a roll to see whether or not you can pull it off without being able to see the target in question and without being sure of the situation and what's affixed or not affixed to anything.
Okay. There's
So
very
let's-
little knowledge I have, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's have an intellect roll with a difficulty of 4.
Of 4. Okay. How much does that one cost?
13.
Okay, that's fine. It's 2. Okay.
You got a 14.
No problem.
We like this.
Yeah, you put in difficulty 2 instead of 4, but it doesn't matter because you still
shoot.
built 4. You still beat 4, so we're good to go.
Sorry.
The push is a difficult one to pull off when you're not sure exactly where you're pushing, what you're pushing, and where they are relative to you. So you probably don't get the angle that you really wanted, but you do manage it. And you know this because you immediately hear Cyrus or whatever he's attached to smack into something. It's a hard metallic bang.
Ah, fuck.
Sorry.
And there's another hard metallic bang as he swings back the other way, and this time he hits you, Kale, or whatever it is you're attached to. You don't feel the impact directly, but you hear the metal on metal slam of something hitting whatever it is you're attached to. And now you too are swinging. Your whatever you're attached to hits the thing in front of it, but with a lot less energy than the first blow, as you transfer a little bit of kinetic energy spot to spot. There's a brief moan from whoever's attached to the thing ahead of you. Then you smack back against Cyrus's whatever, and so on, and you do a little bit of a domino back and forth, but you do get a strong impression of what it is that you're in. There's some sort of metal plate that you're both attached to. All the restraints on your body are attached directly to this metal plate, and then the metal plate is what's attached to whatever it is that's jerking you sideways. When you put that push on Cyrus, you found out that it's only attached at one point, presumably at the top. So you can force the plate to swing back and forth, out and in, presumably in a variety of different directions. The swinging didn't seem to change your situation much, though, at least at the moment. Cyrus is still well restrained, and so are you. It did give you a bit of a wake up, though, in having that sudden jolt move your body for you. And you realize that a little tube that had been running into your arm that you couldn't feel has been jostled loose. It's leaking some liquid down your arm, dripping slowly. It's cold and unpleasant, but you're glad to no longer have it going into your veins, at least. Cyrus, the same for you. That massive bang into the back wall through the IV feed, free of your flesh, and you can feel some of the ability to move starting to return. You can start to feel the ends of your fingers and the tips of your toes starting to awaken, and the heat of your body almost sort of moving from the outside in as your muscles start to flex. It's unpleasant, again, because your muscles have been holding an uncomfortable position for a while, and you realize that the plate that you're on is suspending you from your arms and from the restraints around your chest and waist. You can feel the tug of gravity, and you get a sense of an open space beneath you, possibly a long way down.
I'm so glad that didn't work, actually.
Sort of a silly question, but do we still have any of our gear whatsoever? Like, have they changed our clothes? I wouldn't still happen to have my rifle slung to me, would I?
As far as you can tell, nothing has changed about your person in terms of how you're clothed. Whether your equipment is still there, you can't see it, and you can't reach it, but you do think you felt something swing against your leg when you banged against the wall.
Gotcha. And you said I can feel, even though I can't feel much, I can tell that the restraints are cold, so they're almost certainly metal. Now that I'm getting a bit of movement back, do they seem like chains, manacles? What kind of, can I tell? If I can't tell, that's fine too.
They definitely don't seem like chains. There's no gap in them that you can feel with your awakening flesh. It seems more like some sort of solid, smooth. They aren't too tight. They don't feel like the sorts of restraints that are fitted to you, as it were, but rather that they're fitted to allow a variety of sizes. You don't think you could slip your hands through them, but there's enough wiggle room that you can kind of work your hands forward of the restraints, maybe rotate your hands a little bit inside of them, although it would chafe terribly.
All right, I would start actually moving my hand and seeing if I could find like a catch, a release or something.
There's a space where the two ends of the manacle, as it were, meet. The restraint sort of meets in the middle, such that you can imagine it as releasing to the sides and then closing again. You can see the jagged and heavy metal teeth meet right towards the center.
Kale, these manacles that we have around our wrists, they open in the middle. Maybe, I don't know, you could try that push thing again, but from, like, could you do it in the middle and try to push it open?
Push it open? Okay.
Try it on yours first. Don't try and aim for mine. You'll never get that.
Right. Yes. Of course. Of course.
Oh,
You're so
while
smart.
he's trying that, actually, you said that like an IV came out of my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get that tube and maybe try to use it to try and jimmy the where the two parts of the metal meet?
Sure. Let's have a speed roll from you, difficulty 4, to try and basically get it in between your teeth, as you try and reach towards it,
Right.
because it's too far from your hands. But you might be able to sort of maneuver it over to them.
Gotcha. It's called sleight of hand, but would sleight of hand discount that even though I'm not using my hand?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, we still can't see anything yet, right?
No, completely black.
Okay.
I take. The
I will
IV.
note though that there are sounds coming sort of from the direction that you're traveling. A whirring sounds as of electric motors running very fast.
Love that.
So I
That's where
have
you
my
die.
sleight of hand, which is 1 free easing, and I'm going to be using 1 effort because my edge is 3.
The universal sound of safety. Whirring blade sounds.
It's a good thing I did. So
He didn't say it was
Yeah,
blades.
all
he
these
said
all these low
machinery.
rolls today, man. Wow. Good thing we're burning all our effort.
Good thing you won't need any of that later. All right. You succeed, and you're able to, with a number of attempts, grip the flailing end of the tube between your teeth. You manage to avoid getting the needle in your gum by just too close a margin for comfort. And as you pull on it, there's a fair amount of slack to the IV line, such that you're able to slowly pull it further and further out until you're able to work the end towards your grasping fingers. Which side you tried to take it to, left or right?
Cyrus is right-handed, so he'd be trying the right side.
Okay, you thread it into your right hand, and you've got the ability now, enough fine dexterity control that you can find where the sharp point is. The whole length of the needle point at the end is about half a finger depth-wise. And about, let's say about that. Enough that you could probably use it to try and, put some serious holes in something very soft. But you do know that the end comes to a very fine point. So trying to use it against another piece of metal is going to be a tricky endeavor. Meanwhile, Kale, what was it that you wanted to try?
I'm gonna try to push my manacle open.
Okay. I will note that it's probably going to be pretty difficult because it's definitely not what it's intended for.
Yeah, that was just a spitball from me. So
Well, there's also another.
I don't.
option.
Yeah, I don't know all your abilities, so that was the only one that I was prescient to.
Chris. You said it sounded like a big drop down, right?
Indeed. Sounds like a big open space beneath you, likely.
I don't like how everyone's writing in the chat.
I wonder what this is going to be.
Use the force, Kale.
He's gonna tumble.
Drop, stop, and roll. You're on fire, man.
No, it's not safe enough to do this.
Okay.
It simply isn't. Chris, you can see my sheet. What's just
When
below
will it ever
push?
be?
So
Maybe continue considering it as an option. Though.
Yeah, last resort kind of stuff.
So Christian, how well does Kale know about his ability to use push? Like, does he know it like fairly intricately that he can use it in weird ways, or does he not have the wherewithal to think about that? Because if he does, I can maybe explain a way you could potentially use it.
No, you can't because you're not there.
You know what? Yeah, none. It's fine. Kale.
I might
weighs
allow it
the
as a
options.
player intrusion, however. If Kale,
okay.
you would like to spend an XP to try and accomplish that, or Kirk, I'll allow you to spend the player XP to accomplish the intrusion and
Was your idea.
explain what it is that you have in mind.
We have to spend it before you explain.
I'll hear you out.
I don't know if I want to spend the XP though. I like my XP.
What are you using it on?
Yeah.
Accumulation. Accumulation.
This is how you end up
by the
dying.
end of it that you're not going to be able to use them.
I have 3 already. I just need 1 more, and then I get something good.
You could use it now, or you could try and hoard them. And use it later.
I do like hoarding things.
Number go up is good.
Kirk's would be the only one of us to level up.
You know it. Hey, I'm playing the metagame, guys.
Of us are going to level up. If you read how the system's level up works, it's just not feasibly possible.
It takes a while.
Level up for what?
You would have to roll all.
Well, what are okay? So what are the? I know there's like 4 options for picking a level up choice, right?
Now's not the time for that.
Yeah, we'll go back through that in a bit. Now let's just decide: is someone going to spend some XP to accomplish this?
Well,
I'm willing to spend the XP myself.
You
but
are
obviously
not involved. No.
Okay.
It's between Kale and Kirk.
Okay.
Or Kale and Zaniel, I should say.
Well, the reason I asked what the advances were again is because if they're pointless, then I was going to use the XP. If they seem like
they're all
decent
valuable.
Yeah,
they're all good. And they will all aid you.
Is a level up as good as 4 rerolls? It's up to you.
I don't want to be aged.
I don't need to reroll. I just need to stay good.
Also, shout out my birthday on Sunday.
Shout out your birthday
nice.
on Sunday.
While we're off topic.
Happy early birthday. Pulling back around then, that sounds like Kirk says no to spending the XP for a player intrusion. What about you, Kale?
I'm not doing anything. Kale's going to hold off for once.
All right. So neither of them accomplish anything.
Yay.
Cyrus, you've managed to get this needle into your hand. As Kale swings, thinking about what he could possibly do, and you manage to finally work this needle into your hand after a great deal of effort and twisting of your neck. It starts growing a little lighter. The area you're in is getting noisier, and there is a certain amount of light coming from the direction you're traveling. That whirring of electric motors spinning very fast is much more present now. It's enough that it might be actually a little difficult to talk over it. There's a lot of different things moving. You can hear hydraulic sounds and sounds like metal getting welded, or fast-moving saws running down surfaces. There's a urgency to them, a very factory-like kind of rhythm. And there's also the sounds of serious discomfort. The people around you are barely able to moan, but they moan louder and with more distress as they hear these sounds floating down from the line ahead of you. Whoever it is that this is happening to obviously isn't able to make very loud sounds either, but it seems to be happening to a lot of people very quickly, all at once. And then the line jerks you forward again, and it happens. And there's the sounds of screaming, the sounds of something hitting, something cutting, something stapling, maybe, something getting punctured, something getting pulled, something getting punched back into place, something getting bolted, and then the line jerks.
Okay, and you said that it's getting a little lighter. Can I tell how far between the slabs we're hanging on and the floor, if there even is a floor?
Yeah, you're starting to get a picture of this room. It's still pretty dim, but it's starting to come into focus. You can start to see that there's a large number of these metal slabs that you're each attached to. You can start to see the outline of it and the restraints that have you spread eagled. You can see roughly the distance between you and the people beside you, the anonymous stranger on one side, Kale clearly on the other. You can't quite see him because of the way that the slabs are oriented one next to the other, but you can just barely, by looking up as hard as you can and raising your eyebrows, see more or less the line above you to which your slab is attached. And down, down, down below you, you can see the just the bare outline in the dim light, but freshening, increasing the outline of the floor. And you can see more slabs moving quickly past quickly moving machinery. There's hissing, and you can see steam rising from the depths beneath you. And you can see that it looks kind of like lines are looping back on lines until they reach the ground floor. So apparently, wherever you are seems to be the start of some process.
Is it a survivable fall? What are we looking at? 20 feet, 40 feet?
Survivable?
Okay, that's all the answer I need.
How much?
I mean, anything is possible, but you'd have to be lucky. You'd have to be very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And there actually is a fall damage thing for the system too, sadly.
Is Kale before me or after me in the line?
He is after you.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Now that it's a bit brighter, can I tell if I have my rifle still?
Yes, and yes. Nothing has changed about your outfits or what you have with you. They apparently just strapped you to the table and let you go.
So you've made it pretty clear it's unlikely I would be able to jimmy the manacle using this needle.
It would be difficult.
It would be difficult. Would I be able to use the tubing that I have to catch my rifle and get the hand grip into my hand? That would probably also be difficult, wouldn't it?
It would be difficult, but it might be doable. There is a lot of slack on the line.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to try to get the hand grip of my rifle into my hand.
All right. I'm going to modulate the difficulty by how long you spend doing it. So tell me if you want to try and do this very fast, or you're going to take as much time as you think you need, or somewhere in between, in order to try and accomplish this.
All right. Let's see. Hang on. The first, if I fail, I won't have another shot probably. I'll take a medium amount of time.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like Hail Mary it, but I'm not gonna spend, up until we're in the jaws of the machine either.
Okay. So as you continue getting jerked along this line, you start to see where the screams appear to begin. And you can get a rough judgment of how much time there is between you and there. So I'm going to say that you try and leave yourself a little gap on the other end of getting this rifle to actually do something once you've gotten it. But you're going to try and take enough time that your one shot here might pay off. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Okay. The difficulty is 6.
Okay. Sleight of hand will definitely apply here, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Kale, I will mention that you could potentially help, but it'll be up to you to figure out how you'd like to go about doing that. And whether Cyrus wants you to.
Cyrus, you want any help?
I don't know how you can help me, but if you can think of something, just suggest it. Cyrus says as he's sort of futzing around with the line. Okay, so sleight of hand for sure. I don't think anything else here applies, unfortunately. But I am going to push. I'm going to push my full 3 for sure. So this one kind of feels important, don't you think? I will put it to 6. No, so because I'm using natural easing, I actually, instead of putting it to 6, I put it to 5, and then I put 3 effort. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So if you have anything you want to suggest to do to help me, Christian, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm going to hit the roll button.
Oh boy.
Oh,
There
sorry.
is-
Was this was speed, right, Chris?
Yep, speed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking
Alright.
too long to read. Just go for it.
Okay. I didn't need to push it as hard as I did, but I ain't taking that chance. Okay.
Oh, Chris, are you opening that up for me?
It's all right. As it turned out, Cyrus has it.
Okay.
Cyrus, with quite possibly the most riding on any particular attempt at lassoing something that you are aware of, you pull the slack slowly but surely from the IV line until you've got it taut. You have just enough that it might loop around that rifle. You bring it into a tight knot in your hand. You have to do all of this one-handed. You have just enough slack to let it loose, and you swing it over. And it catches on the end of your rifle. It slides a little bit. It's plastic tubing. But you manage to pull it up at the last moment as it's just about to fall off the end and slide it up until it catches on the trigger guard. From here, you can lift it slowly but surely, trying to keep that tube from sliding off the end of the barrel until it lands in the palm of your left hand. The machinations awaiting you are very clear now. You can see the blades come down, the scalpel, well, sort of like an industrial scalpel. It runs very quickly and harshly. You can see little bits of bone and splinter underneath of its work as it comes down behind the ear and down the jawline and back up again and around. There's no sense that the people undergoing these treatments are being anesthetized in any way. They can't move and they can't make much of a sound, but what sound they can make, they do until they can't. In some cases, you see limbs quickly and surgically removed, and they drop to the distant floor beneath into a grating and
There's no floor in the
fall
surgery
away.
room? Oh, fuck. Now I don't know what to do.
There is a floor, but there's a grating that runs down the middle, and I'll reveal that to you in just a moment. You can see that little devices and long arms set into a machination on the sides draw pieces as they fall to the side and put them into new assembly lines that then trundle on into the distance. The various wounds as they opened up are quickly cauterized, hot iron slamming into place with brutal cruelty as they bring the severed arteries and veins to a finish. And then various pieces are moved or removed. You can see in some cases it looks as though something gets crudely slammed into the rib cage or into the lower abdomen of the patient. And in some cases not. But in all cases, there is less of them on the table than when they started. And then the entire line jerks sideways and the next set of individuals come beneath the various machineries. And you can see now that at the end of the line that it turns around and sends them back down towards the next set of machines that seem prepared to further make modifications. Near the bottom, you see the finished products very much changed, different shapes assembled out of the various pieces. Some with more hands than they started, some sort of an array of limbs and pieces attached to a central head. Task isn't here to mention this, but he would have recognized the strange centaur creatures being assembled from sets of arms attached to multiple torsos, backing into one another. Let's give you a look. The assembly line opens onto a grating at the bottom, and you can see that's where the excess pieces, whatever they're deemed to be, drop into before being collected back into another assembly line.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you before my next move.
All right.
So I just want to be clear. You've said that we stop and then we go, like as when the person is done in the machine, right? We're not constantly moving.
It is not constant, no.
Okay.
It is jerky and halty, right? It moves smoothly for the moment and then stops. And everybody swings slightly in place while the next sets are worked on.
And the thing that our slabs are attached to, it's like a rail above us.
You've got it. You can't really see yours, but now that there's enough light here, you can see the ones beneath you and around you.
Okay. I'm going to wait until someone's about to finish. Not too many. I'm probably going to leave a buffer of... How heavy is this slab that I'm on?
It seems like it's solid metal. Whatever it is, it's pretty darn heavy.
Okay. I'm going to be an insane person. I'm going to wait until the guy in front of me is about to finish. And I'm going to use my rifle. I'm going to point it up at the rail directly above me. And I'm going to turn the rail directly in front of me into slag so that I fall.
All right. You've got about 30 seconds to get your rifle into position then. So what I'm going to ask then is, when you've severed your own, what are you hoping to do about Kale? Or Kale, what are you hoping to do about yourself?
Presumably because the machine is waiting until someone is finished, we should halt, right? Well, presumably. I mean, either way, I have no choice but to assume the machine is going to stop because I don't think I have time to identify like how to shut the machine down with one shot. The best I can do is free myself.
All right, so you're going to try and destroy the rail above you and hope that that also takes out Kale from the motion.
Exactly, and then hopefully I'll have some time to figure out next steps.
All right.
If that doesn't work,
I mean, on the plus side, you're not going to get dissected. On the bad side, things are going to keep falling on us until no more can move.
if that doesn't work, I'm going to explode the rail.
Hell yeah.
All right. Then I'm going to have you, Kale, I'm going to have you go ahead and tell me what it is you want to do magically. And then I'm going to have both you and Cyrus roll appropriately. Because you won't have time to act on it didn't work. So you're going to need to be trying to do something simultaneously.
He's exploding just his rack.
He's going to
right?
he's going to break the rail that you're both on above you.
In front of me.
In
that
front
In
of
fact, why don't you communicate what you're up to together? You have about 30 seconds.
All right, Kale, I managed to get my rifle. I'm going to point it up and try to break the rail right in front of me so that we just slip off the rail.
Okay, I could explode the whole thing with my brain.
The whole rail.
The damn thing, yeah.
You aim for the machines with the knives. They try and explode those.
I'm gonna do the rail thing.
That's a better idea. That's why you're the boss.
I don't think any more needs to be said.
Yep.
All right. And here we go. Kale, show me what magic you're going to do. Pay whatever cost you need to pay as a result. Yeah, shatter. Okay. Must be small, mundane item composed of homogeneous material. So what part of the devices ahead of you are you going to be trying to destroy?
I assume they have like joints with that move them up and down and stuff like that. So I'd be aiming for the thing that moves them.
Okay, so you're going to try and go for one of the hydraulic cylinders?
Okay.
That was more a question than an assertion, but okay. Sounds good.
You know better than I do. I'm aiming for the thing that's moving.
All right. So you're going to try and get one of those cylinders. They're just big pieces of metal that are shaped on either end.
Wait,
So
does my understanding of
material.
machines play into this?
Oh,
Sure.
Okay.
hell yeah.
Do you understand
Christian
machines,
might
or are
not
you
know
making
what-
stuff up?
Christian might not know what a hydraulic cylinder is, but Kale definitely would.
Kale knows a lot more than Christian does.
He either knows or has been pretending really well for the past few years. One or the other.
Why does it have to be one or the other?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Was he the engineer on the Lady Blackbird?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
All right. So yes, Kale, I'm going to ease your roll then, because you're trained. And for you, Kale, the difficulty will be 3 as a result. And for you, Cyrus, the difficulty is going to be 5. For you, Kale, it's an intellect roll. And for you, Cyrus, it's a speed roll.
So I have shooting. Would that count in this situation? Good.
Yeah, you are trying to pull off a pretty serious trick shot here.
Yeah. I will not jockey for both, but I have identification and assessment as well as perception. Could I use one of those to ease it to identify where the rail is above me since I can't see it? You've said.
Yeah, that's fine. You're doing a guess based on what you can see around you.
And then I will use my 3 edge to ease 1, which should bring me down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
If I did that math correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing I did.
just
No,
barely.
I'm relying on plenty of EXP to reroll if I have to, but
Kale, let's have your roll.
Okay. So difficulty
Intellect
3,
difficulty
right?
3.
Intellect difficulty 3. Okay. I don't need to use any effort, probably, right?
Here we go. All right. I guess you didn't need to use any effort. The machines slam in one last time into the group immediately ahead of you, cutting, slicing, ripping, pulling. Cyrus, you flip the gun safety off and pull the trigger as the machine starts to jerk you into position. The rail above you explodes in molten drops of metal. It's not made to stand up to the kind of weaponry that you have at hand. Kale, the machines across from you explode, or at least one of them does, into lots of little shrapnel. The shrapnel scatters its way across the both of you and across the bodies nearest you. Both of you need to take 3 out of your might pool.
small.
But the vast arm of the machinery sags down in front of you, and it's actually a good thing that it does, because it catches your 2 metal platforms as they start to slide off the rail as it sags under the brake. The 2 metal plates slam one into each other, Kale's plate slamming into yours, Cyrus, as the both of you slam into the side of the arm. The side of the arm slides down under the weight of the plates, and you start to fall. But having that arm there slows the speed of the fall. You slam, however, pretty heavily into the line immediately beneath you, and you take the rail of that line down as well as you end up tumbling a little bit into the rail next, and the rail next, until you finally hit the floor. The stacked nature of these rails helps you because it means that at each stage you have something that takes some of the force of the fall and the heavy weight, not just of your body, but the plates that you're suspended from. It also hurts you because you slam into things. And although you mostly slam on your back, the heavy metal of the plate being a much deeper center of gravity than your relatively light body on it, you nonetheless do hit other things and other pieces, and both sharp and blunt on your way down. To take another 2 points of might from your pool. But you made it to the ground, and your shackles are not broken, but quite loose at this point because the metal plate is badly bent in various places. The mechanisms that attached one to the other, unable to maintain a good hold with the plate itself misshapen beneath you. The amount of force that it absorbed for you was clearly pretty significant. And you made it to the ground. It's unpleasant. The stench is significant. You can smell old, dried blood. You can smell awful from where the bowels of individuals have either been violated or they have voided themselves in fear. But you are on the ground, and the assembly line has stopped. There is a sort of screeching, whistling noise from further up the hallway, and something starts marching. You can hear heavy footfalls. But you've managed to work yourself free of the plate by this time. So at least you can meet whatever it is on your feet. And I think we'll take a break now.
As we're sliding in the break, Cyrus just turns to Kale and says, "God damn, that is probably top 5 worst escapes we've ever done. Definitely top 10, probably top 5.
That's number 3 for me, man.
He says it so confidently, but if anyone were watching, they'd notice his hands are shaking like so much.
And then I just imagine we go through this whole several chapters of you guys doing your daring escape, and then we have a panel where we flash to Themrir and Zaniel just sitting down, have a nice little teen biscuit party on the top of the carrier.
In hell, where they're
You mean the one that exploded?
exploding.
Okay.
No, it didn't explode. He just said there was bright lights underneath, and something happened, and everything was okay.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, yeah, we're just having tea and crumpets.
Yeah.
Tea and crumpets. I'm here to kick
Tea
ass
and
and
crumpets.
any
Tea
tea and
and
crumpets,
crumpets.
and I haven't lost all my tea and crumpets yet. So
All right. We'll look
Can't
forward
kick
to
ass
seeing
yet.
you back in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Bye.
bye.
And we're back. Thanks for joining us on the flip side. Hope you're having a good time so far. I know our players are. Look at those happy faces.
The flip side of the wall.
In any case, we're going to get right back into it. We left Cyrus and Kale in an interesting position, and we're going to leave them there for a little bit longer.
Yay!
They did make it off the assembly line, though.
Or did they?
Probably a plus.
They went from the assembly line into the fire.
Unless they put us right back on the assembly line, I'm just going to go ahead and say definitely a plus.
Themrir and Zaniel. The last we saw of them
We were having a tea
was
party.
the ship beneath them getting lanced by some sort of beam of light. And the ship did not appear to like being lanced by some sort of beam of light because it promptly exploded. It wasn't as much an explosion as an implosion. Things fell apart and blew off in various directions, and there's some scattered bodies and the smell of burning flesh. Zaniel, Themrir, if you were not in the position you were in, which was, riding on top and thus thrown clear, you might have been worse off. Both of you need to subtract 3 might from your pool. but both of you are able to stand, and as the din slowly eases off, you realize that's just your ears ringing from the force of the explosion. Yes.
I have this thing called foiled danger. Could I potentially use it, not necessarily to negate everything, but to reduce the potential carnage that is brought upon us?
Let's see here. Foiled danger.
Oh, I just pinged it in the chat.
That you are aware of.
Oh,
in immediate
okay.
short distance. Yeah, so it catches you by surprise.
What? No, I'm an elf boy.
Nonetheless, you did not see the laser beam coming.
Oh, I did. No, it came from me. I'll stop now.
All right. The scene right in front of the hospital where the carrier had landed is still on fire, but the fires are being quickly tamped down by the second team that has landed now. You don't recognize the soldiers, and that's clearly what they are, pouring out of the vehicle that has landed. This is a heavier duty looking vehicle, and it's also smooth. Its external looks like it has been injection molded into shape. The vehicle, its weapons turrets, even the hold that people are all now marching out of, all these soldiers in neat rows, quickly moving into position around the hospital's campus and the landing zone, all look very professional, very smooth, and rather different from the technology in the immediate area that you're familiar with. There's a quick stamp of feet as they first come off the ramp in neat lines, and then they quickly sort of break off into subgroups and start collecting in various spots. There's a brief firefight between some of the survivors from the carrier who've crawled out in powered armor or in the shape of the police forces. As the beams from the weapons that these new soldiers are carrying rip through them, you see machinery exposed, fine copper and silver wires, and the various police forces that came out of the carrier collapse in fiery heaps. The forces that are manning the doors of the hospital fare just about as well. They also open fire on the newcomers, and the bullets that issue from their weapons do take one or two soldiers down, but for the most part, their armor seems almost impervious to it. Anything other than a direct and very close quarters hit seems to simply bounce or flatten against the armor. And the police officers, so to speak, around the field hospital are quickly subdued and destroyed by these new arrivals. You both are sort of in the wreckage or just outside of it, and so can both see and hear all of this happening as you collect yourselves. You've been thrown in basically the same direction, landing within a few feet of one another. And you can see a final figure stepping down off of the ramp after the soldiers have secured the area. They call clear to one another, and then they take up station, their weapons held in almost a parade formation. The last of the figures tramps off, and his armor is different yet again. It's solid, slick black. There's the tracery of red and violet lights from within where his eyes might be. It's all one piece, and you can see that as he lifts his helmet off in the clear light, his long gray hair tied together tightly at the back sort of trails off as he looks around him. There's a bit of a tracery of scars and wrinkles, old scars, obviously, long healed. And he looks around himself and slaps the helmet back on into place.
All right. Area secured. Yes. Now it's time to put him down.
And the black-clad figure heads in with his soldiers into the hospital.
Question for you, Chris.
Well, shit.
That three damage, was that accounting? What is it?
It is just 3 you're taking out of your pool, no matter what you have to say to me next. So you might as well just go for it. Yep, not considering resilience or armor or anything like that.
Okay.
You got thrown clear of an explosion. It hurt.
Okay. Just
What
checking.
what Chris is saying rather is you actually took 4 damage, but he already calculated that in for you. Chris is very, very kind like that.
Don't worry about this particular one in terms of trying to apply other things, but don't worry, it will apply and has applied. On to back to the two of you, rather.
Yay.
Land within about a few feet of one another.
Themrir, are you holding up? No, I'm actually quite dead right now. Sorry, that just kind of fucking hurt. So. Also, of course, I've had worse. Aw, how sweet. Zaniel's just giving you the bitch voice.
In terms of aid, oh, okay, go ahead.
Well, wasn't expecting to get jettisoned from where we were, but this might actually make a good opportunity to sneak in, find the others. Seems there's some sort of coup going on here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to be careful. I'd say we don't trust either side. Of course. Mm-hmm. I guess it depends on who we stumble across first, but if we can avoid combat, I think that'd be best. I don't know how well we'll do against those people. Yeah, I got my own tactics. Mm-hmm. I would like to spend like a solid minute. Themrir Zaniel to the rescue. Yeah, bye guys. Later. Hey, I got Task's arm. Do you think I could beat people with it? Yeah, I want to spend a solid minute trying to survey our surroundings, seeing like if the entrance where the queue started is like a good entrance point, or if we should try and find like another place instead. Basically, want to keep as much attention away from us as possible.
Sure. I will tell you immediately that they didn't enter just through one, but through all of the entrances in this area here, having taken out all of the guards that were standing in each of them, and then proceeding in groups through each of the various entrances.
Okay.
So you know immediately that there's no one pace they're going in. They're definitely going in force to the entire building.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that's immediately obvious to you is that they didn't leave anybody behind. They left nobody on guard out here. They left nobody watching the entrances. Obviously, their expectation of who it is they're facing means that they expect no resistance from the outside.
Okay. Full-on assault. Okay. All right, Themrir looks like whoever pick of the litter. Then let's even the odds. And I walk to the closest officer or whatever that was shot down and pick up their weapon.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty heavy-duty assault rifle of some kind. You're not familiar enough with the technologies of this world to know more than, safety off here, bullets come out there.
Yeah, I figured point shoot, it'll do some magic shit. Look, I don't know exactly what this is, but I know what it does. And if they're using it, why shouldn't we? And quite frankly, I'm one to avoid people as much as possible, but if the inevitable happens, what do you got to save yourself? Sure. I guess let's go in the front door, see if we can find a map of some sort. They seem to not be bothered with us out here or anybody else. Well, let's go, I guess. I just hope we avoid him.
All right, so the two of you head in then?
Yeah, we do
Straight through
the slow motion walk towards the front door as we're like the badass reinforcements coming in to rescue the day.
Good thing that this isn't a parody or you immediately get shot, of course.
Ah, damn it, no.
The inside of the hallways, immediately beyond the door, are very different from the ones that Task saw, because you're not being influenced by some sort of illusion. You see that this area has received some pretty significant changes fairly recently. You can see places where panels have been ripped off the wall fairly crudely and things have been changed and rewired. There's also battle damage and evidence that's very fresh. You can see that there's a couple of twitching bodies still lying on the ground, various motors and bits of wire sticking out of them and sparking. You can see that there's evidence of bullets, pockmarks all over the walls, and the scorching of whatever sort of beam weapon these new soldiers have come equipped with. But there's nobody immediately in this area. It seems like the soldiers have come and gone and left nothing but wreckage behind. There's no map, although there are areas where you would have thought that a kiosk of some kind might have stood at one time when this was a more friendly or at least actually health-oriented place. But you get the impression that at some point, new management must have taken over because drastic and radical changes have been made all over the place into the superstructure. There is one very thick bundle of cable, though, that runs right down the middle of the hallway over the roof and connects from one hallway to the next. And it only goes in one direction, suggesting that something is pulling a lot of power over there. At the same time, though, that is pretty clearly the direction that the carnage has headed. So
Right. Well, one way to find people is go towards the carnage. Like horror movies teach us, go towards the noise.
wherever there's screaming, that's where you should run.
Nothing bad can happen. The bodies that are left here, do they look human at all? Like, obviously they're humanoid, but are they like 100% machine, or is it like wires on top of like a human base?
Let's have an intellect 2 roll from you.
Intellect 2. Okay. They're pronounced robot in Elvish, so half elf.
Wow,
Special.
no problem. Yeah, unfortunately, an 18 doesn't get anything special outside of.
I do plus
combat.
2 damage to my intellect. It really hurts.
Ow! Brain freeze.
Recover 2 intellect? I'm confused.
So, there's definitely some human components here. Like Task noticed, you see the red seam that seems to connect the face to the rest of the body. The seam on this particular one that you're examining right now is very faint, and if you weren't looking for specific details, you would never have noticed it. It seems to you like maybe a few more days, and there would have been no seam at all. The body itself seems mostly mechanical, artificial. You can see the structure of wires tracing their way and tubing tracing their way around something that looks like ceramic plating on the inside. And there's no hydraulics. It's not that kind of a robot. It looks very much shaped like a man, but you see that everywhere that you might expect flesh and blood and muscle, there is some sort of electronic or biomechanical alternative to it. So really the only thing that you can see that must have come from some living donor is the face.
Well, Themrir, for better or for worse, I think we found where those cut and paste murders are coming from. Mm-hmm. They say people, yeah. The doc was saying people don't come back out. I think this is why. Not really people anymore. What do you try to do when you amass power? You either have it in yourself, or you build an army. Yeah. Yeah, we need to keep moving, but based on what we just experienced, I think we should take a quick sec to catch up. It will. So using one of the recovery rolls without having to spend an action. Nice. Yeah.
The one thing
Says
to note
you.
there is it does cost you a use of your recovery, but you don't have to spend an action or 10 minutes or an hour doing it. It just happens. And so if you still have one of your action uses, for instance, Zaniel, one of those gets used up in accomplishing this.
Oh, I see. I thought it was like an extra thing.
No, it isn't free, but it does happen immediately.
No.
It doesn't cost you any time to accomplish it.
And I'm assuming you can use this as much as you want. Like, it doesn't look like it's like a once per 24 hours type thing.
No, it's an infinite number of uses for you, right? For Themrir.
But it's only as many uses for everybody else up to the end of their 1 hour. Okay,
Exactly.
that's fine. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna take a quick action for it. So.
Well, I was gonna say you might not have 10 minutes. You might not have 10 minutes to patch up. Chris might be sending ninjas in. So.
Well, Zaniel still has some of his single action recovery.
I still have 2 single action recoveries. So,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So this would, one way or the other, this will use up one of those.
that's fine. I was gonna use one anyways. So.
There you go.
Max! Oh my god.
Ooh, max points. All right, distribute those however you like.
9.
So while you're thinking about where you'd like to distribute those, can I assume that you head deeper into the building?
Yeah, I follow the carnage, and I'm assuming Themrir does too, because we have no other way to go, and we're like, whatever.
All right, you follow the trail of bodies and broken machinery.
Okay.
Cyrus, Kale, both of you are at the bottom of the assembly line. There's the swaying of bodies, there's moaning, there's blood, and worse things here. But you managed to make it back to your feet. Cyrus, you have your weapon in hands. Kale, you are prepared. You're ready. So when the fast-moving beat of somebody's feet along the ground issues to your ears, you both probably have weapons or spells at the ready.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you recognize task in time.
Are you going to have us roll for it?
No, it's a 0. Just in time, both of you feeling a little bit on edge after all of that. You see Task. He's not running. He's striding purposefully down the long hallway towards you. The illusion having broken, the BOB is able to easily guide you back to your friends, telling you, yes, this turn, no, not that turn. And you make your way here in good time.
Oh my god. I thought for sure that I would not be happy to see the next person that came down this hallway. Task, how you doing, brother?
Cyrus, Kale, it is good to see you alive.
Oh, thank gosh.
Yeah, it was close there for a minute. I'm not gonna lie to you.
We almost
Okay.
got hacked up. Oh,
I am sorry I was so slow. This place has some sort of influence over me.
Don't be. This is by far the most messed up place I've ever seen. The fact that you were able to find us at all is impressive to begin with, let alone the fact you did it this fast.
are you okay?
I am uninjured.
How the hell do we get out of here, guys?
Task looks up at the roof.
Do we want to get out of
is
here?
Getting out of here is probably easy. We should figure out who built this place and why.
I was gonna say, I don't think we're done here yet.
Oh,
Look, we're not the only ones who are on that line. I'm almost certain we're the first ones that ever got off it without coming off part middle. And I damn sure know that I don't want to see anyone go through it ever again. So, as easy as getting out would be, Kale, I think we both know that's not on the table.
Yeah.
I destroyed one of the security men. They had the same sort of face. Do you understand?
Same.
This place, it's a factory of
on?
sorts. Task nods. That's what they're making here. I do not know if the civilians you guys encountered before, if those were prototypes or an extension. But
The brain's got to be in there too, right? I mean, why just the face? It's got to be the brain too.
not necessarily, Cyrus. They could be controlled remotely.
But why the face then? Why not just make... I know you don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. It's... All right, hopefully we can figure out the answers. Hopefully.
There's a clattering, clunking sound, and it's accompanied by sort of a skittering, tapping. It's not quite clear, the sounds, because they seem to be coming in sort of a larger group, back the way that you came, Task. There's a quick tapping, tattering sound, like somebody running their fingers over a hard surface. And then again, the clunking sound as though something were slapping down heavily, one after the other after the other. The room around you is not staying static either. Down here at the top of the room, there's not much going on besides the swaying of the broken line and the continuous moaning of the people still stuck there, not even quite aware enough to open their eyes. But down here, there are many nearly completed pieces. You can see coming off of the line slowly crawling things. They step awkwardly forward as though trying out muscles that don't attach quite right or weren't in those places before. Something sort of skitters behind one of the assembly lines and then peeks out and then skitters again and is joined by 3 or 4 more like it the second time, and then 6 or 7 more like it the next. It's looks like an array of hands and wrists, and in the center, a half-peeled skull gazes at you with empty sockets, and then as it rears back, and then it falls back on all of its hands, maybe 5 or 6 of them, and then disappears back underneath of the assembly lines. You can hear the slapping, slap, slap sound coming from further down the tunnel, and there's the torso and head of a man, and with arms, but attached to another torso beneath it, stretched out, almost looking sort of like a horse or a centaur, except that all of the limbs are arms that bend in strange directions, either forward or back, and the hands walking along the ground, gripping at the ground with long nails. Task, you recognize these creatures. You've seen them deployed in another world. The skittering head crab things, though, not as much.
Right.
There are other stranger creatures here as well. And even the centaur things don't look quite the same as the ones that you saw there. And you realize that they're missing the tubing that you saw on them. There's none of the black ooze that seemed to be the lifeblood of those creatures there. Here, it's all just sort of slapped together, You can see infection raging across the lines where pieces of bodies have been sewn together. All of the muscle work seems adequate to the purpose, but it seems just done by somebody who didn't quite know what they were doing or couldn't do it very well. An imitation of something maybe that they'd seen elsewhere. But regardless of the quality of the work, there's a lot of them. You see 5 or 6, maybe 10, maybe 15 of these centaur creatures. And there's all these little head things skittering around. And you get the impression of something much larger, maybe several much larger things, hulking in from behind. Now, the assembly line you're on continues in that direction that you came from, but it also continues in the opposite direction. And there's a few various places where you could maybe get underneath of the assembly line and down to whatever machinery might run it below. But if you're going to head in that direction, you're going to need to head there soon.
Task spins to face Cyrus. Make the call, Cyrus. I will follow and protect you.
We can't. There's too many to fight. We gotta move. Cyrus looks for hatches to get onto the floor.
There's one a little further along. It's maybe about 100 feet away. It's in the direction of these creatures, though. That seems to be the closest one.
And the sounds of something bigger, they're obviously close enough for us to hear, so probably don't have time to... All right, we don't have time to go under the floor. Let's book it the other way.
Can we go the way you came, Task?
That's the way that the creatures are.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go the other way, I guess. Mm-hmm. But the whole time, Cyrus is going to keep his eyes peeled for another access hatch.
All right. I'm going to have each of you roll me intellect with difficulty 2.
All three of us?
This
All
is
three
for
of you.
keeping your eyes peeled for the hatch?
Yeah, basically.
I have training and perception. That'll apply, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Cyrus, Task, you notice a hatch just a little bit further along. It's maybe 150 feet away. Kale, your head is on a swivel. You're trying to look in every direction, and you don't spot the hatch. Even as Cyrus and Task start towards it, you are tripped up. Something grabs your ankle. Multiple hands scurry their way up your body, and they sort of overweigh you. You can feel them like biting into your calves and the back of your legs. And you fall to your knees.
No.
Task, Cyrus, obviously you hear and see this happening.
Right.
All right. I'm going to rush over and try and get these things off him.
All right, GM, have I gotten to the grate?
That depends. Did you continue heading for the grate, or did you head back to help?
When I see Cyrus run back for Kale, I proceed to the grate so I can rip it up.
You rip it up, no problem. However, you now do see that Cyrus and Kale are getting surrounded by the fast-moving little hand crab things. And the centaurs are closing in shortly thereafter. The chances are very good that you could slip into the grate, but they wouldn't make it without at least getting probably snowed under by the sheer number of bodies.
No, me slipping away by myself's out of the question. I leap back into the fray with them.
Okay. Then I need you to roll me. Actually, I need you to describe. So what are you trying to do?
Okay, so I want to Hulk smash basically. I want to leap back forward, clasp my hands together, and bring them down onto the ground, and just like flatten everything in the room on its bum.
Okay.
And then get Cyrus and Kale back on their feet so we can run. And hopefully everything else falling over on itself will be enough time that we can slip away.
All right.
That's what I went to sort of like a little.
All right. I want you to roll me first intellect with unknown difficulty. So that's
Unknown
0.
difficulty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then roll me might with difficulty 3.
Okay. So I'm just checking to see if there's anything that helps me. I am trained in jumping.
Okay.
Right.
So difficulty 2
Okay.
for the might roll.
Okay, so intellect difficulty 0, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Noted. And now give me a
Might and difficulty 3.
might. Mhm.
Okay. And you said I could use the jumping training?
Yep. So difficulty 2.
Okay, so do I click on... I'm sorry. But do I click on might and lower the difficulty by 1? Or do I click on my jumping scale and click in 3?
No,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay. Might and 2, that's fine. I guess either way it would be the same.
Either way, it would be the same, but that's how everyone's been doing it. So
Okay.
no point in making it hard on yourself.
Right. Okay.
All right. No problem. You slam your hands down in the midst of the creatures, far enough away from Cyrus and Kale that they're not going to be harmed, but definitely close enough that they're within the tremor that you create. The whole facility rocks. The heavy hydraulic arms fall off of the gantry that they are attached to and start slamming into the floor around you. They crush many of the creatures beneath them. The heavy assembly lines fall over and crack and crumble underneath of the sudden warping of the very metal base that they stand upon, the concrete and cement. A shock wave goes through the metal, tearing it, distorting it, and in many places ripping it entirely away from the sheer power of your impact. And the ground gives way beneath you. Whatever it is that's underneath of here, it's not solid. There's another big open space here. The entire area immediately beneath your fists soon turns into a wide enough sinkhole that you, Cyrus, and Kale fall into the darkness beneath. It's not dark for very long, though. The light shines through from the room above you, and you can see that it comes through some of the gratings in the area above. The fall is arrested by a sudden plunge into liquid. This was beneath the assembly line where all of those limbs are being cut off and all that blood was being collected. The fall doesn't hurt, but it's less than pleasant. The viscera and the blood gather up around your waist. It's thicker than water, and so without needing more than a few man's heights worth of depth, it arrests your fall and cushions it, and you're each able to struggle back to the surface, gasping and dripping. The creatures around you are not really shaped for swimming. The little head crab things simply flail and fall into the thick, murky waters, if waters we can call them, and presumably drown. The centaur things flail. You can see some of them trying to stand on their hindmost legs to keep their heads above water, but they slowly but surely sink. They grab at your ankles, though, as they fall, trying to pull you down with them. Task, you can kick them free with ease, but Kale and Cyrus don't have that sort of physical prowess at their call. I'm going to need both of you to roll me a might with difficulty 3.
Gotcha. Are there like walkways to the side for maintenance or anything? Are they within reaching distance? Can I be, even as I'm trying to be pulled down, could I be trying to climb up?
A few couple of front crawl strokes will get you there.
I ask simply because I have climbing as a training, so I was wondering if this can apply.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Thank you.
I don't.
I never said that. I didn't even know you had that.
I don't see you in the pool, Themrir.
So Chris, it's a might roll, difficulty 3, you said?
You got it.
I'm gonna spend. No. I'm not gonna spend an effort.
Okay.
Didn't
Doesn't
even
need
need
it.
it.
Doesn't need it.
Dude, this guy's yoked, man. He actually pulls the centaur up with him.
Cyrus, you pull yourself dripping with viscera and blood to the side of the maintenance pool. The centaur tries to grab at your ankles, but it only pulls your boot off. Kale, a couple of them try and grip you as you go, but you manage to not only push your way off of them, but you manage to sink one of your heavy boot's toes into the eyes of one of the centaurs, and you push off of its face, and you end up on the maintenance hatch, the maintenance walkway, at about the same time as Cyrus. But instead of sort of pulling yourself awkwardly, you do that thing where you just sort of push yourself off the edge and land on your feet. And you're just like waiting for him.
Yeah.
I'll also grant you. I'll also grant you one thing that you managed to bring with you that you might have found somewhere amongst all of this rotten ruin, all these pieces of metal falling as your minor effect. You managed to salvage something. A piston, a piece of machinery, a sharp piece of metal.
Hey, you remember that scalpel?
All right. So you've got the mechanical scalpel, the quick whirring, moving thing that was on the end of one of the arms.
Oh, good. You got that scalpel. I was trying to pull myself up and it like got me in the side. That's why it looked so labored. It was because good. I'm glad you got it.
Yep. I got it. Just for you.
Good job.
Task, you've already been standing here for, like 10, 20 seconds.
Yep. Arms crossed.
Well, that was not how I expected to go under the floor, but I mean, we'll take it.
Above you can see maybe 40 or 50 feet up. You can see the shadows of things clustering around the hole, but they're all clearly well aware that they don't have any chance of diving in and rescuing themselves if they did. You hear some unearthly screeching sounds, and then they turn away from the hole, going back the other way down that hallway, presumably to find some way that ends up connecting here, maybe one of the hatches leading down.
Cyrus points at the hole, and then like as they're moving, he just keeps his finger with them while they're moving, and then he goes, "I suggest we go that way," and he points in the other direction.
Yeah.
Very well. I'm with you.
Thank you. That was close. All right. You guys ready?
Let's just go.
Do you want to take a quick breather?
No.
All right.
That is not necessary.
This direction is dark, but the light filters in from the area above. There's, again, the awful smell, but after a while, your sinuses sort of shut down in self-defense. You really can't smell anything anymore.
Oh. I was going to say, Task probably literally shuts his sinuses down. So
Makes sense. Just turn that right off. Don't need that right now.
no. No.
What allergies?
The sewer, which seems to be what it is, spirals down. You can see that you are actually at a fairly high point in it, and you continue down through thick concrete and steel walls. There's a couple of branches, but each branch is very thin compared to this main area, and has significant grading over it. You could break in, but you can see the dead ends that they end at, or the steep drops off into apparently nothingness that go beyond them. The main branch continues to sort of lead you downwards towards presumably draining out somewhere.
I was going to ask if we're moving with or without the water, but the fact that it's draining somewhere answers that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Even though this isn't water per se, although there's probably some water mixed in to help move things along, it definitely is flowing downhill.
Those things, they're not... They shouldn't be.
That is the understatement of the century. If I ever
My,
find the fucking sicko that put this place together, I don't even know what I'm going to do with him.
How do we fix all those guys?
I don't think we can, Kale. Though your feelings are admirable.
But if they're put together, can't we take them apart and put them right?
I don't know that we have the... Takes a very specialized set of machinery to put them together in the first place. I don't think you can just run it backwards, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right.
Task, what were you saying? Your what?
If I don't know how dark it is, but if you can see Task, he actually has a little bit of vomit on the sides of his mouth. My father filled me with billions and billions of points of info, but very few emotional checkpoints. One time, he met a pair of doctors that disgusted him. They had done a crime against nature. It disgusted him. When I was born, it was one of the very few emotions I had. I felt it again just now when I saw those things.
Is it the same guy?
I do not know. Although I have my father's archives, I cannot access them without visual stimuli.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds pretty sad.
Well, I don't blame you for feeling disgust at seeing this. This is... I don't even have words for it. It's beyond recompense.
I see.
But like I said, we'll just keep moving. I won't speak for you guys. You can do whatever you need to do, but come hell or high water, I'm gonna try and find a way to shut this place down permanently.
I could explode more stuff.
Not down here, but I promise you there will come a time, there will be a room where I'm gonna ask you to explode fucking everything, brother. And it is gonna feel so good.
Okay.
You are resilient and heroic humans. I am glad I have met you.
I don't know why you had to specify that we're human, but okay.
I am not human, Kale. I was built to resemble one.
Cyrus holds his hand out to Task for a handshake.
You do not want to shake my hand, Cyrus. I would break every bone in it. But I appreciate the gesture. And he bows very respectfully to you instead.
Cyrus just nods and runs his hand through his beard, squeezing it out a little. He bows back, but the same depth. He goes, "You're part of the crew now. You could have slipped down there, avoided all that mess. You came back for us. As far as I'm concerned, that tells me everything I need to know about you."
You think Task will come on the owl with us? Task, you want to come on the owl with us?
Owls are too small to hold my body weight.
No, it's a ship.
Oh, then yes, I would be honored.
Oh,
And
awesome.
we would be honored to have you.
Snargle would love this guy.
Let's tear this place apart from the bottom up, and then we'll go board the owl and have a nice leisure flight, boys.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
As you continue to talk and walk, you've come to sort of a turn-off point for the sewer here. You can see that the concrete tunnels continue onwards in one direction, but a hallway branches off of the sewer here and connects to a very heavy-looking metal door, something serious and something very well sealed. You can see that besides the simple thickness of the door, it's being held into place by some very heavy metal pinions. There's no sense that this door could be opened except by the incredibly powerful motors that must lift or move all of these various pieces of the door aside.
Is this hallway...
Or maybe task.
Or maybe task. Is this like different infrastructure? Obviously the water doesn't run that way, or does it?
Does not. No, it continues. It turns into a hallway that goes from sort of rough concrete into smooth metal.
It looks a bit more like the hallways we were in up above. Okay.
Indeed.
Well, if we can get it open, I probably wouldn't mind going that way. I've seen you do some... He looks back at the shaft of light way down the tunnel. I've seen you do some pretty wild stuff, Task. Do you think maybe this could be something you could open for us?
The metal in this complex is military grade. Much tougher than I was expecting, but it will yield to me.
That's good, because I would very much like to get away from the blood water.
I understand. And Task proceeds to open it enough. Doesn't need to like tear the whole thing away, but open it enough that we can all get through.
This thing will not open. If you're going to open, it's going to be one time only.
That's what I mean. Every door Task opens is one time only.
But you will have to try for this one. This one is a heavy duty one. When you have opened it, it will be broken.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. You rip and tear until it is finished.
Nice.
And the door hangs. Well, it's not a door anymore. There was never really a door. There was a huge chunk of various shape, size pieces of metal that all fit together, and now they no longer do. There is a very large and well-equipped medical center inside, but on a scale that it's not meant for humans. But we'll get back to that in just a moment. Zaniel, Themrir, you've been following the trail of carnage down. Occasionally you've come close enough to get close to where the soldiers are to overhear their chatter as they confirm clear on various areas or note that they have quelled resistance in others. There are multiple doors that they have passed after confirming that they are empty, and there's been one that you have crossed several times where they have attempted to force it in one way or another and have sort of like suddenly zoned out, as it were. There's a flashing pattern of lights in the ceiling above you, and something just sort of turns off for them, it seems, and they simply walk away. After noticing the door again, they start trying again, and that pulsing pattern of light seems to start. And then they get back on their radios. All clear here. No, there's no entryway. Must have been an incorrect report. And they head off again in another direction. For whatever reason, the both of you can see the door just fine. It's a heavy-duty one, significant metal. Significant measures made to keep it closed, but you can see the mechanisms involved in opening it. It would probably take you some effort if you actually wanted to use the door, but then that's not necessarily how you need to go about things.
Well, I am a shapeshifter after all, and I can shapeshift into a briefcase. Wait, hold on. Okay, Themrir, did you see that as well? Seems they're ignoring that door for whatever reason. it's less that they don't see it, and more so it's there, and then whatever they were doing gets replaced with nothing. And then they continue on their way. That just tells me there's something there, something worth hiding. I've encountered this many times now. I can potentially work my way in, but it's a one-person thing. Of course, depending on the effort needed.
It's a fairly complicated looking panel on this side. It looks like it requires some sort of password entry and a key card or fob of some kind. And it looks like there's a pad for maybe putting a hand down.
Mm. Well, if anything that I've learned through the years is not to just put your hand somewhere that you don't know what happens. Give me a moment, Themrir. Looking at the panel, and just kind of understanding the situation, I want to basically do this to see if I can decipher a way to utilize it in a way that allows us to get in the door potentially. Because it's not just writing, but it's also code, right?
Okay. I think that can apply here.
Okay.
There are some instructions that are written. They're very terse. They're meant for somebody who knows what they're doing, but it indicates a certain order of operations. You know, place the key here, turn, then place your hands, then present your eye for the biometric scanning, then, and so on and so forth. Enter the password. Right? You can see that it's a very complicated sequence of events, including a lot of different pieces to it. But it also hints to you that this is a entry point that's very well guarded on this side. But you suspect that there might be a mechanism that it attaches to somewhere else that is not nearly so secure.
Okay, so it's like the deadbolt on one side and a key on the other side, right? So it's like you can easily access the deadbolt from the inside, but not from the out. Okay.
Maybe.
Shit. Themrir, whatever this is, it's complicated. More than just placing my hand or punching in a passcode of some sort. It's a whole procedure in itself. Yeah. Yeah. And this is the most advanced tech I've seen so far in my journeys. Shit. Okay. I can get the gist of it, but I can also understand enough that it's impossible with what we have right now. We're either going to need a person to utilize for their own hand or whatnot, or some way to bypass this. Yeah. Themrir, I'm going to try that. If you don't see me back out here in 2 minutes, figure something else out. Before I do what I'm planning on doing, this console with all the techno jargon, is there any obvious connection to it, like wires or anything, or is it like pretty smooth and it's like all built in to it and stuff?
It's kind of built into the wall right next to the door.
Okay,
So there are no obvious conduits or anything that you could
that's
put
fine.
on.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, and I want to attempt to phase sprint through the door.
All right.
Usually doors are the weakest point, so
Weakest point of entry makes sense. Let's have you roll intellect for me. Difficulty is 2.
2. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh, use an XP. Okay. How important is it getting this door? Probably important since Chris pointed it out, but that's metagame. Hold on. Yeah. If instead of re-rolling, I attempted it again, I'm assuming it would be more difficult because, like, I've probably encountered this kind of resistance before, right?
Yeah, I think it would step it up for you because now you would have tried it and failed and not be sure why it didn't work. So
Okay.
you would not know. So how am I supposed to get through here?
Right. Okay. Okay, bye-bye, advancement. I will miss you. Okay. I'm going to re-roll.
All right. Fingers
And
crossed.
I'm also going to put a level of effort into it.
There you go.
Can you roll that the first time on dice? Huh?
You step through the door and there is significant resistance at first, and you recognize that there's a magical seal as well as a purely physical one in play here. Whatever was going on with the lights, whatever is happening with this door, some sort of illusion magic. But it's pathetic. It's childish. Compared to the kind of magic that you once wielded, it's not that it's not powerful in a way, but it's being wielded by an idiot. Somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Somebody who is just, maybe think of it like a script kiddie who's found some code, who knows how to run it, and that's it. So although it at first gives you a tiny bit of difficulty, you sidestep it. And now you're on the other side of the door. On this side of the door, the hallway continues to extend. You can see that it spirals very quickly down on a steep staircase. The door mechanism on this side is just a simple button push. Whatever it was that they were trying to protect from, they clearly thought it was going to be on the other side of this door.
Yeah. Okay. After taking that in a moment, I push the button.
The door easily releases. There's a hiss of steam and hydraulic fluid, and various mechanisms slide back. It's actually kind of impressive how much of a staccato ring, one slot after another, after bar, after piece sliding back into the walls, and finally the door itself pulls into the recess.
Well, Themrir, seems we're getting somewhere. There was something I haven't felt in a long time in that door. Power. Magic. Strong, but misused, almost. I need to find out where it is and how to get it. Well, they're hiding something here. So forget the struggle over there. Let's go this way.
The stairs head down and down and down. They do that sort of thing where they keep crossing on each other as they continue levels down. And eventually they finally lead to a long metal corridor towards another large space. There is a door in front of it, but it's a perfunctory door, and in fact it slides open as you arrive. Clearly the security measures were all at the top of the entrance. Inside there is a very large and complicated looking medical facility of some kind, but on a scale that doesn't seem meant for humans. Something much, much larger. And some machinery, something that's meant for assembling something. Oh, and there's Task and Cyrus and Kale.
Prepare for combat. No, I'm kidding.
You've met, but you've met in what seems to be a rather unusual, dangerous place. And as you all enter into the room from various directions, you hear a voice, a slobbering, thick, heavy voice, a voice that sounds like drool and old meals falling onto thick rolls of fat. So you found me, but this is going to be the place where you end. And that's where we will end for tonight.
Oh shit, no, we all died, guys. No.
Nice.
And then it's just that picture of Spider-Man and Spider-Man pointing at each other, except it's Zaniel and Themrir.
Oh,
It's both halves of the pointing at each other like, what the fuck? Why are you here?
yeah, we're like rock, paper, scissors. We got the Task, Cyrus, the Kale, the Zaniel, and the Themrir.
And the lizard.
Spock, man. Which one of us is the Spock?
Themrir's a lizard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Task is the spot.
I think Task would be
Why the
the
Rock?
rock. Yeah, I think I would be the Spock.
Okay.
Scissors, baby.
Kale would be the scissors, and Cyrus would be the paper because he covers us all in his loving embrace.
Yeah.
Oh,
Before he gets cut up by Kale with his awesome remarks.
I wanted to be Dominic Toretto because I keep the family together.
I mean, that means I break Kale, but I forget if it takes out Rock. Spock?
Paper.
But you're covered by Cyrus.
This is important. This is important.
This will unlock the true meaning of Christmas, guys.
It's not a game made up by the Big Bang Theory. It's a game made up by the guy who made up rock, paper, scissors. They just added 2 more steps.
Yeah, Chris, tell us a little bit about it. Let's stall for 30 more seconds.
This is what he's gonna do next week. He's gonna take all of our characters and he's gonna fucking chew us up.
So I'm really glad that you were able to join us tonight, and I hope everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
We've got just 2 more sessions left of With Good Intentions. And in fact, 2 more sessions left of Wrong Side of the Wall in total.
I know.
After all this time, we're almost there.
And then there's the 6th season of it.
Yeah, the secret 6th season.
I remember all the cool things that happened in the secret sixth.
Isn't that
season,
one?
which I
Isn't
can't
that
say
one
any
called
S
"I
words
See
tonight.
Dead People"?
And fought that entire legion of Darth Vaders.
No,
Did we say
that's
that?
in
Is
that's
Disney
in.
coming after us now.
No, but see, he gets force powers in the second one. It's called Task Wars: The Task Awakens 2.
Two sessions left, including next
2
session.
sessions left, including next session, session 5 of With Good Intentions, called Cold Out Here.
Nice.
Look forward to it.
Very cool.
We're inside. What does that mean? No.
Oh.
All right. See you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.